All right. Matt, Coach Matt.
Groovy,
Senior
baby.
instructor Matt. Last name?
Rodiek.
Rodiek.
Mm-hmm.
Asked Alberto last night, who is like our master sensei. I was telling him about this interview and asked him if I could use this studio to use it. And I told him I was interviewing Matt. He's like, oh, Matt Nestor? I was like, no, I interviewed Matt Nestor. He's like, I was like, Matt from Muay Thai. He's like, Matt Roadhouse. I was like, yeah, Matt Roadhouse. What's his last name? He's like, I don't know. Was it Rodiek?
Rodiek, yeah, it's German.
Matt Rodiek.
Yeah.
Matt Rodiek. When and where were you born?
89 I was born, 1989. I was born in McHenry, Illinois.
Oh, I know McHenry, Illinois.
Oh, you do?
My older sister lives in Crystal Lake.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. With her, she has 3 kids, married. She's like the most traditional of all of our, my other sister and I are super crazy, but she's married with kids, and me and my younger sister are not married with kids. But yeah, they live in the suburbs of Illinois. Crystal Lake, I guess Huntley now. They actually live in Huntley.
Oh, yeah. My cousin got married there, was it last year? Yeah, last August we were in Huntley for a wedding.
Is McHenry in the northwest of Chicago?
Yes, northwest.
So
that's about right.
Up to the left.
Yeah, up to the left.
On the line,
it's close to Wisconsin.
Yeah. This is all about you, but just an interesting little parallel. That going from when my sister moved to Chicago, then she moved to the suburbs, to Crystal Lake and to Huntley. I used to go visit her all the time and take that train into the city to go visit a good friend of mine who was going to law school at University of Chicago, and that is the dad of the 2 girls that I take care of now. So it was like those trips, just to like randomly see him during holidays whenever I was visiting my sister, from Crystal Lake to Chicago. It's like those trips where we kind of like formulated this me being his nanny game plan right there in Chicago.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
You never know what doors open when you
Yeah.
talk to people.
Yeah, and it was him and I were very good friends, but it was those trips in Chicago that like we really became good buddies and kind of like became mini adults together. Anyway, okay, so McHenry, Illinois.
Yeah.
Is that where your parents are from?
Lake Zurich. So, it's all in the same northern Chicago area.
Yeah.
I grew up in like Gurnee, Waukegan. Waukegan is the naval training base.
Okay.
So we get a lot of, anybody who's ever gone through the Navy has gone through basic training in my hometown.
Okay. Really?
Yeah. This is right on Lake Michigan. My parents are from Lake Zurich, yeah.
There's like a big naval presence right there?
I wouldn't call it a presence, but it is like their basic training, yeah.
Okay.
So all like the 18-year-old guys who just signed up,
right,
they go through there.
On the lake?
On the lake, and then
that makes sense.
With their leave, they go to our local mall,
which is
Gurnee Mills. So if you imagine, for people who don't know, if you know LA, its relationship with Santa Clarita, is very similar to Chicago and my hometown of Gurnee, Waukegan.
Okay.
So it's about 45 minutes north of the city. There's a Six Flags. There's a big ass shopping mall.
Okay.
Can I curse? I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. I love cursing.
There's a big old shopping mall and a bunch of car dealerships. So it is very similar to Santa Clarita of Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy growing up there?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I have no complaints,
Were you there your entire childhood, or kindergarten through 12th grade?
Yeah, I was. I went to U of I Chicago when I was like 17, 18.
Mm-hmm.
I was studying engineering, so that was like my first year away from home.
Mm-hmm.
And then I quickly moved back home and was like, I just got to get out of this place.
Mm-hmm.
I need to go somewhere totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know it at the time, but really what I wanted to do was like create myself.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to start from a blank slate because I felt like in Illinois I could see all my potential routes and they all looked horrible to me. Not talking shit. I love all my family, my people back in Illinois, but none of those looked good to me. It looked applicable to like my personality and what I thought life should be like. I just didn't see a lot of people living anything close to that. So I was like, let me just get out. And I basically did a coin toss between New York and LA. And I was right after my 20th birthday, we moved out here, me and my buddy.
Oh, thanks. So you've been out here for a little bit.
2009. I'm coming up on 15 years.
Oh, shit. Okay. I didn't realize that. For some reason, I just got the feeling, I never even asked you, but I got the sense that you weren't from LA always. And for some reason, I guess I just assumed in my head it was in like the last like 5 years or something. Flashing back, I remember when I should do this interview, you go, you're going to ask about my childhood? It's like, yeah, I am actually. How was your childhood? What was there like, did you have siblings? What was the dynamic of your household growing up? Do you look back in your childhood as an enjoyable time, formative time, the goods and and bads. What was it like?
Man, you really are going deep on the childhood stuff.
Childhood's super important, man. And I've worked with kids most of my life, and the more I work with kids, the more I realize it's like, fuck, man. That initial 10 years, and it's like really the initial 5, is so significant for the next fucking what we're gonna eventually start living to fucking 150, 200 years old. It's like, dude, you gotta have it. I don't know. That's a huge reason why I took this nanny job, is because I want to like super have my shit together when I do have kids during that first 5 years of life. You don't want that to be. I mean, there's goods and bads. Like, there's goods to trauma, obstacles, difficulties, right? You don't want it to be like a perfectly, placid existence. But, like, I want my kids to be eating well, sleeping well, everything that I can control for the most part. I don't want to spoil them or overwhelm them with, but I want to have, I don't want it to be a stressful environment. They can get all the stress they want when they're making their own decisions. But I don't know, man. So yeah, childhood's super important. I'm always interested in people's childhood, because they're all just, the more I work with kids and the more friends I make as an adult, we're all just little kids. We're all just grown-up little kids. Some of us are pretending more than others. Some of us are more grown-up than others, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's true, but a lot of us are pretending more than others. So anyway, childhood, what was it like?
Yeah. Childhood was cool. I mean, there were definitely rough moments. I suppose there were rough times that really helped shape me into who I am. But that's why I don't really look at them as like negative experiences or trauma. Although I'm still unpacking that whole thing myself. I look at it as like everything that's happened to me thus far has helped contribute to who I am today. And there's a lot of things I want to work on, but I'm pretty happy with who I am and the direction my life is going now. So yeah, my parents split when I was like 10. That was pretty tough. I was old enough to understand what was happening.
Yeah, 10's a tough age to have your parents get divorced.
It was, and it wasn't like a clean break. Anybody who's had divorced parents knows. Have your parents together?
My parents never even really married. Well, my parents had me and my younger sister out of wedlock. They had a tumultuous relationship, and this description of this relationship it's not reflective of my mom's character at all. When she tells me things, it's crazy. But she was a young person. My dad, on the other hand, like, that makes sense. These kind of like out of wedlock, children and shit like that. Anyway, then once my younger sister was born, they tried to get back. They separated. My dad stayed in Louisiana. I was born. My mom took me and my mom took me and my older sister to Atlanta. They tried to reconcile, and she got pregnant with my younger sister. He left again back to Louisiana. Then, maybe it was during that time that they got married. So maybe they were married when my younger sister was born. Probably after my mom got pregnant, they got married. I don't remember exactly, but then they eventually got divorced, like right after that.
Okay.
So I don't have any recollection of being with my dad at all. So for me, it wasn't as traumatic. Once again, like you were saying, as you become more aware, it's like, dad's always cool, even if he's not around when you're in elementary school. Then as you start to become a man yourself, you start to become aware of the world, that it turns to anger. And then hopefully you can somehow like process that anger, like you're saying, become a better person, to make you a better person. And you can turn that anger into like positive energy, or I don't know, perspective or forgiveness or whatever it is as you go into adulthood. That's what I'm trying to do. But everyone does that. But also the fortune of not having a relationship with him ever, so it wasn't like I felt like I lost anything. I wasn't abused in any way or anything like that. It was neglected, right? He never paid child support or shit like that, but it was just like he had me and then he disappeared, which isn't great, but could also be worse. And he was not a great dude, so honestly, that's the other perspective I was like, dude, I probably would be much better off just being with my mom, because my mom's got her shit together.
Yeah, so, rather than being influenced by someone maybe.
Yeah, with like substance abuse issues, and mental health issues and all kinds of shit. It's probably better. So yeah, I'm grateful to be here on planet Earth.
It looks like that seems like a healthy response to it, right? Yeah. That's good. That's really good.
But you, 10 years old, that's something different.
Yeah, it hit hard, man. It wasn't fun, and I remember feeling responsible, but also I recognize that I'm a 10-year-old kid. Like, this isn't my fault. But also, you can't help but feel that way. Especially, I have a little brother and a little sister. My mom remarried, but my little brother that was around back then, like, you know, just last year when we went to Huntley for the wedding, I didn't plan on it, but somehow it worked out really well that him and I spent like 2 days alone together.
Where'd they have the wedding in Huntley? Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, that's a good question.
Was it like down in like the little town?
No. It was on a farm.
Okay, never mind then. Okay.
Yeah, it was on a farm, which was still pretty rad.
Yeah. My sister lived right in that little. Did you ever been to the little downtown Huntley? It's like a tiny little. Like,
I don't think so.
Okay. My sister lived right there. Anyway.
Good to know. I have like family that there too. But yeah, we got to spend all this time together and started talking more about our childhood. You know, when I do get to see him, we're with other family. We don't ever really do like just brother stuff. And he lives in North Carolina now. But we got to talking, and he remembers things like totally differently than I do, which isn't surprising. But he doesn't remember a lot, like the screaming fights and the cops being called.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, it was rough, man. It was pretty rough for a couple of years. And like I said, when you're that age, 10 to like 13 or 14, when I was seeing it all happen, especially when my mom started dating, my God, it was horrible, dude.
Bro, I used to have literal nightmares about that. I probably still do, and I like repress them about my mom. But once again, a different circumstance, because my mom was always single, but I used to have nightmares about my mom dating. And like this dude being in my life who like I had to listen to and shit. Like, where did this guy come from?
Dude.
We were cool.
Yeah, what happened? You just threw a wrench and all this was working fine. Yeah. So that made things tough.
But your mom actually did date. Shit.
And yeah, I won't get too into that, but that was rough for a few years too, man. That was really tough. The relationship with my dad wasn't fully mended, and you know, he was heartbroken, and then he kind of spiraled from there.
He was heartbroken that your mom pulled the plug on the relationship. Your mom was the one who should.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because of police being called and shit like that?
No. Like, my dad wasn't abusive or anything like that. It's not like that. But their relationship just wasn't healthy.
Right.
And I think, to, like, come full circle to what we were just discussing, is they didn't have the... I mean, culture has evolved and changed a lot, I think, over the last, like, 30 years. I mean, it always does. But I think people... our generation is feel less pressure to get married and have kids right away and like get this one job you're going to get a pension with and live the rest. You know, that whole idea has kind of passed with our generation, especially especially with the kids growing up now. So they, I think, had that kind of pressure of like, I need to be in a relationship, I need to have a rock solid foundation, I need to buy a house, I need to have a job that I'm going to stick with forever. And none of those things worked out. So they were still stuck in that expectation, I think. And so I don't hold it against him or anything, but I think that's why my dad was a little crushed, kind of sent him off on his own thing, which he's still recovering from today, you know. But, yeah. So those years were tough, but once I got out of the house, everything kind of... it was stereotypical that kid just wanted to get away from his family because it was just, like, stressful so much. And I didn't know how much anger I had. I had no idea until, you know, my mid-20s when... I discovered a few things that helped me reflect on what happened and why and my role in it, what I had responsibility for and what I didn't. And then once I started organizing those things, I look back and I was like, wow, I was really fucking mad. I was mad at everyone all the time for nothing. Yeah. It was just pure anger. So,
did your dad stay in the same geographical area as you? Was he around during your adolescence?
Yeah. My dad was always around. It was important for him to be around for us, which I'm always grateful for. Yeah, that was good. But he was still like, I think we'd see him every other weekend, and on like Wednesdays or something, they negotiated it.
Okay,
but
so
it was
a whole court thing. And Jesus.
I mean, for the most part, like they were able to handle it between themselves without spending too much time in court. Right. Although I do remember 1 or 2 of those days. Right. Just like the big days of the divorce.
So bizarre.
Really weird, but yeah.
And your mom had another kid later?
Way later.
How old are you?
I was 14 when she was born.
Wow.
So my brother is 3 years younger, and my sister
is 14 years younger.
14 years younger. I was my freshman in high school.
Yeah, my best friend in high school was just like that. I wasn't divorced. They were Catholic, so they were just constantly having kids. But I remember he was the oldest. He was my best friend all through, you know, elementary, middle school, high school, and then freshman year when we're all like not dating, you know, hanging out with girls or whatever, you know, thinking about college, and all of a sudden his mom had a baby.
Oh my God.
Whoa. It was awesome though, because like now we could like babysit the kid, and I've always loved kids, but it was such a bizarre thing to have, you know.
It was a little strange. Yeah, and I was terrified. I was not like I wouldn't even hold my sister for
Yeah.
like 3 months. I was like, she's too small. I'm gonna drop her.
Yeah.
I don't want to, like, that's a fragile human, you know.
How old is she now?
She'll be 21 in November.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Is she still in?
No, so there's a whole story. My mom moved to Florida the year after I moved to California.
Okay.
She brought my stepdad and my sister down there. My brother followed another year later. Now my mom lives in North Carolina with her husband and their daughter, my sister Annika. She, at 18, despite being a complete introvert, getting her to speak. I mean, we're 3,000 miles apart. We didn't, like, I wasn't around for her
formative years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we don't know each other super well, but she could barely speak a few words to me. She was so shy.
Oh, wow.
And my mom made the joke. Sorry, Goober, for telling everyone this, but my mom would make the joke that, like, she can't even go to the store and buy a gallon of milk.
Right,
Talking to people. And at 18, she decided to move to London and go to art school.
Whoa.
And she's been there 2 years, and I'm going to go see her in 2 weeks.
Whoa.
Yeah,
cool.
really
So
cool.
Does she like London?
I think she loves it.
So maybe she just needed to get out of Florida and North Carolina.
Which is so funny because that's kind of what I needed to do too.
Yeah.
You know, I needed to get out of my hometown to, like, blossom and figure out what was going on. And yeah, she's doing, like, costume design, all this cool shit. It's
cool.
fucking awesome.
Whoa,
so,
whoa. She'll end up in Has she been to LA?
No, but I think I open invite to her anytime she wants to come stay. She loves, like, vintage and thrifting and stuff too. I was like, you need to come.
She might be a little too cultured for LA.
Maybe, but the sunshine would do her good.
Sometimes a very low vibration of energy in LA. No way.
Yeah, it can be.
It's like can be very one tone in terms of, I don't know, the culture. But I love LA. Anyway, that's cool. All right, so your sister sounds cool.
Yeah,
and then
she's cool.
you're the middle one is how much younger than you?
3 years younger.
3 years. Okay, so y'all were close in age group.
Pretty close, yeah. But, you know, the divorce, we kind of went through our ups and downs, and, you know, we're super cool now. But my whole family is this way. Like, I have plenty of friends, like my roommate, my best friend. He moved here with me 15 years ago. We still live together.
Oh, shit.
I know. LA's expensive.
Whoa. Wait, the same dude?
Yeah.
For 15 years?
Well, there was a year and a half where I tried to move in with a girl, and it just so happened to work out that when I was moving out of that place, he needed another roommate.
Dude, that's awesome. That's my dream. I want to be a fucking 20-year-old bro forever. I want to bro on the best friend roommate again.
Yeah, it's okay.
I kind of do. Yeah, no, it does actually. I hear you. It's that's actually not true. Right before I moved to LA, that's 2019, so I was 31, and I live with my best friend who's about to get married in a month. We lived together in Honduras actually, and been good buddies in DC, and we moved back in together in DC, and we were both 31, and we only lasted 6 months. I was like, dude, there's nothing to do with you. I love you, but, like, I gotta get out here. It did feel cramped.
We make it work.
Yeah.
Because we've got a nice little spot, and we understand each other's boundaries, but inevitably you're gonna, you know, bump heads.
Yeah.
So,
which is weird because, like, my lifestyle now compared to my 20s is so much more calm and healthy, where you'd think it would be. But if you're living with a bro and you're both in your 20s out drinking and partying or whatever, and, you know, things are just things are just more chill, I guess.
Yeah, the way it was when we lived together before I made that mistake. I was on a real bender for like a few years. I'm kind of fuzzy. I don't remember a lot of things.
Yeah.
And he's like, we were roommates the whole time and didn't see each other too often, but he was like, I don't remember that at all.
Oh,
You were drunk for what? And I was like, dude, I was blacked out, smoking cigarettes and drinking beer, shooting whiskey.
Yeah.
Every day for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, just.
It's not healthy, but it's easier to have a roommate like that.
I mean, we just didn't see each other. Yeah, yeah. How you doing? Hungover? You too? All right, cool.
Yeah. Remember those days. Yeah. Okay, so you studied from high school. You went to U Chicago or
U of I Chicago.
U of I Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my sister went there for like a year or something. Was trying to
UIC.
get a PhD, and you studied engineering. I think that's where my brother-in-law went to study.
It's a great engineering school.
Okay, yeah, he did. He went to the main campus is what? Urbana?
Yeah. Champaign Urbana.
Maybe he went there.
U of I. That's
but he studied engineering either there or the Chicago campus.
Yeah.
What kind of engineering?
It was mechanical engineering.
Okay.
And very unfortunate. I was in a weird headspace too because I was 18 and just living on my own for the first time at a dorm. And but I had some really kooky teachers that just kind of ruined the whole thing for me. I take responsibility, but I had a chemistry teacher in what do they call those big rooms? lecture hall. But it was like an auditorium. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was,
an intro chem class, like 200 people or whatever.
I think there was over 350.
I remember I had that class too. Yeah, I had that same class. I fucking hated chemistry.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, I like to learn. I love learning. I love absorbing new information. But the first day, this instructor tells us, it's almost like the first fucking sentence she says, is the way I remember it, is this class is hard. Most of you are going to quit or fail. And I'm on probation because I have so many students fail.
Dude.
Right off the jump.
I didn't have the probation part, but I remember my intro chem class, same thing. I want to like give them just like part of their training as professors. They told us this. I remember the guy saying the same thing. He said the same thing day one. I think he connected to like people being pre-med undergraduate degrees as well. Like most of you are going to fail out of this. This class is super hard. It was like a message of like, give up. It was like the least inspiring message ever. I remember thinking that, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't want to be here before we've learned a single thing. I don't want to spend fucking Tuesday, Thursday for an hour and a half in this with this shitty energy.
No.
I remember thinking that same thing. It's very bizarre.
It doesn't make any sense. It's just, it reminds me, it's funny, I didn't think of this connection before, but after I had surgery on my knee, my first day at physical therapy, the woman goes, straighten your leg as far as you can. And so I did. And I go, I'm a little paranoid. I just had surgery. I'm like an athlete. And I'm like, how does that look? Like, how am I okay? Like, am I going to recover? Being all parent, it's just the first day. And she's like, yeah, you'll probably never be able to straighten it all the way again. That's fine.
Fucking
and I was
doctors.
like, are you kidding me?
Dude, I've had the same experience with doctors too. I had a herniated disc in my back right after, in like my early 20s, and they were saying the same shit. You'll never run more than a mile again. You'll never Olympic lift again. You'll never put anything weighted over your head again. And it's like, what the fuck? Are you God?
Yeah, where's the human training you're supposed to have?
It's something to do with science, doctor, people, lack of, probably an autism spectrum thing, honestly, where they're like not relating, but they're super good at science. It's bizarre that doctors are the kids who were the best at science in school. I remember those kids. Those kids are not the ones that like you want to be. A doctor's such a sensitive job, like to be sitting down in front of you and kind of, it should be such a more thorough job where they're kind of helping you with life decisions. And I don't know, it's communication is such a super important thing when you're a doctor, but that's not their expertise at all. It's a bizarre system we have. And I feel that almost every time I go to the doctor, I'm like, what? I should only go here if like something is falling off or I'm bleeding uncontrollably, or sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Put a chemistry class. Put that marker there. So
okay,
jump back to it. Dude, I went to the doctor like recently. I have these horrible like. Ever since I played soccer growing up, I get these really bad calluses on my heels, and they'll like open up these like little canyons, and they get super painful. So I have to like file them down weekly to keep them like for my feet from falling apart.
Holy shit!
And so I went to the doctor just like a year ago, and I was there I think for just a physical or something like legitimate. I had to get blood work done or something, and I just asked her. I was like, yeah, by the way, like. My heels, explain this to her, they're constantly like they're very painful, they're sore, there's like, what do you think about, like, is any advice you could give me, or some, I don't want medication, but like, is there an ointment, I don't know, something holistic, and she's just baffled, like the only thing she could tell me was, she's a Chinese lady, I shouldn't do an accent, but I'll do her accent. You must wear shoes outside. You must wear shoes when you walk outside. I was like, yeah, I know, but like sometimes I do yoga outside, or like, we live, there's a guest house, and so sometimes I'll just, walk back and forth, and I like to walk outside barefoot sometimes. You must wear shoes outside. Like she couldn't understand. I was like, can we get to like the bottom? Like, what is going on my feet? Why do they get dry? But there's nothing. The only thing, we were just like stuck in this rut where it was like shoes are for outside and walking, and it's just like, oh my god, I'm not talking to a human being right now. What's happening? But yeah, doctors are tough. So yeah, the chemistry class had the exact same experience, and so what did that do to you? For me, I was thinking pre-med, and from there I was like, fuck this. I remember I took chemistry, Chem 101 or whatever it was, and Biology 101, same like set up massive auditorium, and I took them. I had to finish the semester, but like by the time 2 weeks in, I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing any more of this science stuff, labs. This is not the energy I want to be around. This isn't fun or exciting.
Far from fun.
Yeah.
And when someone, look, I don't need to like I know younger generation gets criticized a lot for being kind of soft and like need to be like coddled a lot. I don't need that at all. But like, I need to know you're setting me up for success. Like, not, you're here, you're not gonna make it. You suck. And it's like, it's my first year of college. It's like one of my first classes. Like, help me a little bit here. You know, you don't have to coddle me all 4 years, but you got to help me win. Isn't that kind of your job? A little bit, you know, not just educate, but help inspire people. So that sucked. I finished the whole semester. I was like, fuck you, I'm going to do this class. And I didn't, because it was like, excuse me, because it was like, she wanted you to do the hour class 3 days a week, and then you had a lab 2 hours twice a week. And she said for every hour you spend in class and in the lab, which ends up being for like 7 hours a week, I want you to spend 2 hours a week on homework. And I did the math, and I'm like, you want me to spend like 20 hours a week just on this class? On chemistry? Like, maybe this should be divided into 2 semesters or something. I don't know, but I'm never going to be able. I tried, and I didn't try very hard.
But dude, engineering schools are fucking hard, man. I was a smart kid growing up, and my peer group was smart kids, and Georgia's very good because the state lottery pays for you to go to any school in state for free. And so unless you had money or you were like super smart and went to Ivy League, you either went to University of Georgia or Georgia Tech. Both are good solid schools. And it was the same thing. It was like my personality type. The like liberal arts people went to UGA, the math and science people went to Georgia Tech. We were all in the same classes and AP or whatever in high school, and we were all like performed relatively the same level. Dude, the kids went to UGA. We had like, you either made really good grades and partied, or you made all right grades and like super partied. And at Georgia Tech, you either like barely got by and partied, or like you did well but had no social life. Like Georgia Tech was a whole degree harder than UGA. Those engineering classes are Calc 2 and shit.
Yeah.
All OChem, all that shit. Oof,
yeah, I didn't make it past my freshman year, so.
Yeah. Well,
I kept going to school, but I didn't study engineering after
Where'd you go from there?
I went to a community college back in my hometown. What was it called? Not LLC. The fuck was it called? Lake County. Oh my God, that's how long it's been. Lake County Community College.
Lake County Community College. LCC.
That's not right. No. It's like LCL or something weird.
Figure it out.
I was there for a year,
okay,
and then me and my roommate John had been friends for a while and hanging out while I was at school. And he was like, "I want to get out of here too." I was like, "Well, let's get out of here. Let's be easier if we had somebody to do it together."
Did y'all meet in college?
We met working at Hollister together.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I could see you working at Hollister.
I get that a lot. Especially back then. They were like, you're such a California dude.
Yeah.
Because I had long hair.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that all the time, too.
Yeah.
Oh, you surf, man?
Yeah,
Where'd you grow up? Laguna? I was like, no, from Louisiana, actually.
For some reason, it's like that surfer look.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, he was like, okay, do you want to go to New York or LA? And he's like, well, my sister lives in LA. I was like, well, let's drive out there and see what's up. So I think we actually did it right after my freshman year or senior year of high school.
Took a road trip?
Right before I went to college, we did a 2-week road trip. I heard about one of our friends or managers or something, rented a car, did the big trip, and he was like, LA. And this is 2007? So the internet's around.
You're younger than me yet. So you graduated high school 2007.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like the internet wasn't like super, like Google wasn't like a really big thing. You couldn't Google anything.
When like Facebook, I'd just gotten on Facebook in 2007, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. My buddy had like a GPS in the car.
TomTom.
And he was like, yeah, none of us did. That was Google, that was MapQuest, printed MapQuest, yeah?
Yeah, that's how we got out here. We printed out the sheets of paper for MapQuest and drove out. And all you ever know about other places is what you see in movies and TV. Before the internet was really, you could see everything on the internet, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. And so we had this idea of what California was going to be like. We came out here for a couple weeks, epic road trip. We had a fucking blast. We went everywhere. And then we got back and I went to school. And then the next year when I moved back home, I was like, all right, well, let's go back to LA and see what's going on. We made one more trip out and we're like, fuck it. Let's move at the end of the summer. So a year after I moved back, that following summer, 2009, was a rager of a year. moved out here that summer, and yeah.
So you done 1 or 2 years of college?
I had 2 years of college.
So then you had an associate's degree from LCCCC?
No, I didn't get any degree because my first year was at university, and I failed 2 classes. So my GPA was like 1.0 or something, 1.9. So they technically kicked me out. I planned on leaving, but I was in the honor roll when I went back to community college because I was studying shit I wanted to learn. You know, automotive tech, stuff like that. I had so many
friends like that, and that went to Georgia Tech.
Dude.
It's like 4.0 students in high school, and they went to Georgia Tech. I was like, what do you mean you failed out,
dude?
Bro? But it piles up on you. But it's the attitude of that teacher. It's like, fuck, this is like, what's the fucking point? I remember one of my closest friends, maybe the smartest guy I knew. Same thing. As soon as you got in there, like you get all that workload piled up on you in the beginning, and then you're trying to establish social life. I go check him on a winter break. I go visit Georgia Tech's campus, and he's just like not going to class, selling weed out of his fucking frat house, like by the pound. Like, dude, what the fuck happened? We just moved in here, like, and we were like, we partied like high school party, but we were good kids and like had curfews and stuff. You know, we were at normal social life. Also, this dude's just like straight up drug dealer. He's like the smartest kid I knew. I thought for sure he was gonna be a doctor. He eventually got together. I was like, whoa, that'll sneak up on you. Huh?
Doing crack now?
Yeah,
leveled up.
Sucking dick for crack in the alley. What happened, buddy? Okay,
it's funny how that happens. Yeah,
it does happen. But it's because it's like, in a way, that's what's college. College in America, the whole system is crazy, right? Like, you're taken care of by your parents and the school system your entire first 18 years of life, and then we're just like, all right, you're not, like, you graduate high school. Which, in, like, a lot of schools basically means, like, you know how to read and do basic arithmetic. Honestly, dude.
Yeah,
and
not
then
well.
It's like, all right, peace. Like, go be an adult. And granted, depending on, like, where you're going to school, you know, that can be... There can still be some structure and shit in place, but like, dude, people go wild without their parents.
Oh yeah, totally.
As 18-year-olds, it's crazy.
Time.
I wouldn't want my kid. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah. Okay, so you survived that. You made it here. Where'd you move? Where'd y'all move? What part of LA?
We moved into North Hollywood. Before it was NoHo.
What does that mean?
It was rougher.
Okay, yeah.
It was like
shootout in the 90s. Remember?
Bank of America.
Yeah,
they made a movie about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so Heat was based on that, right? The movie Heat? Wasn't that based on that shootout?
Is that the Colin Farrell or something?
No, Heat is older than that. Heat's with like De Niro. I think it's De Niro and Pacino.
Oh shit.
But anyway, that shootout was crazy.
Yeah,
it was like assault rifles and shit.
Yeah, when all the local police officers only had pistols. And that's when I think because of that, I don't know if it was all of California or I think it was all of California, got like a budget approval for every department to have a SWAT team.
Oh, really?
Because they're so underprepared. That was like a big catalyst for, budget increases.
Damn.
Yeah, which is kind of funny today, but maybe funny is not the right word, but ironic. But yeah, so I moved out here in North Hollywood. Crazy talking about how terrible the college system is. I moved out. So the summer I'm moving out here, 2009, I reach out to, I thought I was going to live in Santa Monica or Pasadena. I was like, oh yeah, I could afford that. Fucking idiot. But I was calling Pasadena Community College saying, hey, I'm moving out there in 3 months. I want to get a loan. Like I can't, I got to pay out of state, but I want to keep my education going because I think that's what I'm supposed to do. And they're like, oh, actually, you can only do the application for a loan in person. You have to come in person. And I was like, okay, that sucks. There's nothing I can do. I said, no. I said, all right. So fast forward 3 months later, I'm out here. The first 5 days, I go out there and I get into the office. I got to find parking, getting used to this area, the city. It takes me an hour to get from like my car to the office I needed to go to. And they're like, oh, you want to apply for a loan? Go online now. And we just transferred everything over.
We just got the internet.
Fucking kidding me. So then I spent the next, anyone who's gone to, especially if you're out of state or trying to come to community college out here, man, for the first, 5 weeks, the classes, there's no seats available in the classroom. There's a dozen or more people sitting on the floor taking notes.
Whoa.
Because they overbook the classes. And then for the kids who are like, get the last choice to choose, last option to choose, right? So if you're a returning student, you get preference choosing classes. And if you're a California resident, you get preference as well. But I was out of state and I was new there. So I was at the end of the list. So you have about a dozen or more people waiting to see if they can get in the class. Well, they decide that with the lottery in some classes, and other classes different ways. So they're like, if you have to show up to every class, you have to be here, otherwise you get pulled from the lottery. So if you're in the lottery, you're there for 4 or 5 weeks, going to class 2 or 3 times a week, taking notes, you're in the class, and then at the end of that 4 or 5 weeks, they're like, you didn't get in the class.
Whoa.
And I think the first semester I did that, I got into one class, but I was like, this is a waste of my time, and it's like $3,000 for this class this semester because I'm out of state. So I bailed on that, tried again the next semester, same shit happened. Wound up going to GCC for a year or
Glendale?
2. Yeah, Glendale Community College. And then they're like, oh, all your classes in Illinois are basically worthless. Like, we'll give you a couple of credits. Like, all right, so I finished my buddy, John, my roommate, was doing the same thing with me, struggling to go through school because we thought we were supposed to do. And I get to CSUN 2 years later. I go to CSUN for 2.5 years.
What's that?
Cal State Northridge.
Oh, okay, CSUN. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, tell me to stop.
Yeah. No, it's good.
So I go out there, I'm studying business management. And again, I turn my grades around. I'm on like the honor roll every semester. I'm like crushing it. I get to CSUN, Cal State Northridge. I'm studying business management, I don't know why I wanted to learn how to be an entrepreneur at college in hindsight, but I thought I could. And I go to my counselor after 2.5 years, or 2 years, and they say, oh, you have 2.5 more years left. I'm like, bro, I've been in school for 7.5 years.
Whoa, what?
I don't even have an associate's degree. Like, they told me 2 years ago I'd have like 3 years tops. Like, I should be just about done. And they're like, no. And they're like, all these classes they told you counted, didn't. All these classes they told you went towards your major, don't. So you got to keep taking more and more classes. And I was like, at that time I had started bartending, and I got really into the cocktail scene and the history and prohibition and all that bullshit. And I got a job at a cool cocktail bar backing 5 days a week, and I was making more money there than I'd ever seen in my life. Going to college, thinking that college is the right thing to do, stressing about driving from North Hills, where I lived, to school, and then driving to Glendale for work was like an hour. I was like, fuck this.
The bar was in Glendale?
The bar was in Glendale. So it was a long commute, and I was going to school, and I was stressing myself out. I'm like trying to do the right thing, go to school, get my degree, and be a smart person. And every fucking corner I hit was just like another roadblock unnecessarily, So I bailed on school. I dove into cocktail bartending, and that's when I'm missing a few years. It's because it was drinking like a fish, and that was an early time too. But once I came out of that is when I discovered martial arts, and that's when
once you came out of the cocktail fog?
Yeah, the cocktail fog, the relationship issues. I experimented with some drugs that opened my mind, and that was like a new chapter now. Like, it was probably 25, 26. I turned that corner. And I can honestly say that was like a before and after moment in my life. I can look, if I could split my life in 2 chapters, it would be like that 25, 26, before and after.
Okay.
And I actually can remember the month or the day that it changed.
What was it? Tell it.
Well, it was a few things over the course of a few months, but I had broken up with my ex. We got back together.
This is the girl you were living with or trying to live with?
This is the girl I wound up living with. And it was my birthday coming up, and we were just kind of back to hanging out again. And she's like, "Oh, we're going to a music festival." I was like, "I don't want to go to a music festival. I don't like EDM. None of that shit sounds cool. I don't want to do drugs." Well, I went, and I liked EDM, and I did the drugs.
Hell yeah!
And suddenly something clicked. I realized that I have been closed-minded to so many things for so long.
So you did ecstasy.
I did ecstasy. I think the next month, I tried mushrooms for the first time. And then it might have been like a year later, maybe 2. But that was the big change when I tried DMT. That was, I hate to say life-changing because it seems like I'm exaggerating, and I don't want anyone to go into it with like high expectations. But I can honestly say I can see my life before DMT and after DMT. Yeah. It's 2 different chapters.
I mean, I think that's a pretty common report. I've never done DMT. But it's the progression of, I don't know how you classify ecstasy, if it's psychedelic or not, but that's a nice progression, ecstasy to mushrooms to DMT. Yeah. Actually, it was just in communication with a DMT shaman, quote unquote, in the last couple of weeks about doing DMT. But I wanted to do it. I'm super into psychedelics as well. I grow mushrooms, not allegedly. Maybe shiitake.
Well, they're not illegal till they're dried, I think, right?
Yeah,
something like that
for culinary purposes. And so I'm very into that. And I smoke a lot of weed, as you know. But I've had mental health issues throughout my life. And I'm currently on an antidepressant I've been on and off it for 15 years for obsessive compulsive disorder.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Which can, has its upsides too. My lifestyle can be a little obsessive. But, so I don't want to fuck around with that too much. Anytime I've gotten close to doing DMT, I'm always warned about being on SSRIs, on antidepressants, on DMT. But dude, I've done pretty much every other drug on antidepressants. So I think I'm good. I'm pretty I can handle high dosage of intoxicants, so I'm good. But honestly, I also want to study psychedelics more thoroughly, make psychedelics. They're already a part of my personal life, but I want to start making them perhaps a part of my professional life, and definitely more part of like an intellectual pursuit. I want to learn more about them and learn gradually. I like everything. I like doing from the beginning to the end. Like that's what I did with how I got into martial arts. Is I started during COVID. I started watching UFC 1, and I watched literally every single event, including all of the fight nights, up until now. Like a preposterous amount of fights. Literally every single UFC fight ever, and that's what I did with this podcast. Is I started with the first person I ever met, my mom, second person, my older sister, and something like that. I started interviewing all the most significant people within my life, and then after this interviewing people part, I want to go back and start studying the time, like the concept of time, from the Big Bang or whatever, the different ideas of how existence began, and just start studying that all the way up through human history. Anyway, I want to do the same with psychedelics, and I feel like the lowest level is weed. And then the gateway drug, so it can be a gateway drug in a good way. And then mushrooms now, and I grow both of those things, so I really want to get my hands on all of this shit, and like eventually I want to start like a fucking ranch.
That's a lofty affair you're talking about right now.
Have access to all of these plants, have them all secured and preserved, so there'll be, at least there's like one location where they're all there and no one can take them away. Bring people in to use them, because they have this profound impact on people's lives, man.
Man, like I said, we were talking about how angry I was.
Yeah.
A lot of that, I mean, there were many things that influenced. That's why I can't point to one thing. I'm not going to say DMT was the one thing that changed everything, but it played a pivotal role for sure. And it changed the way that I see the world. And when I started seeing the world differently, I started seeing myself differently and behaving differently, right? That's like the stimulus that begins the change sometimes. So I'm a big advocate for it as well.
Do you feel like it removed kind of like a shitty filter you were seeing the world through? Or I don't want to. I know these psychedelic experiences, especially like DMT, are almost impossible to put into words. So I don't want to like draw an analogy but
it's hard to
just like reset your computer. How do you
That's a good way to think of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mushrooms are like. It's kind of like. You can't describe mushrooms to someone who's never done mushrooms, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like jiu-jitsu or whatever. Like, when someone's never done it before, it's hard to find the words that really articulate what the experience is like. But when you meet someone who's done mushrooms, or DMT is a good one too, there's like this understanding, and I think that has something to do, in my mind anyway, with, how mushrooms communicate with each other throughout the world, right? And we evolved from mushrooms at some point, I think. We branched away, right, into lizards or whatever the fuck. But yeah, I'm not sure what
bro. Lizard person. Well, mammal.
But far enough down, what I mean?
Yeah.
And like,
we should share like some absurd percentage of DNA with mushrooms, like even more than other sentient, walking creatures or something. I don't know.
And the way they're able to communicate, from one side of the world to the other, like this vast. It seems like the way I've heard it described. I'm not a doctor. Paul Stamets.
Yeah, Paul Stamets. Yeah.
Talks about it like it's like neurons in the brain, but if you just imagine the brain as Earth, and seeing all of them fire and connect and communicate. I mean, that's wild. You ever watch those nature documentaries where they do like the time lapse of like the plants or the mushrooms growing and moving? I mean, it's a living, breathing, potentially sentient being.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that connects us to our deeper self or allows us to separate ourselves, our soul, whatever, from our ego, and that just gives us perspective. And I don't know what it is, but the first time I did mushrooms, I freaked the fuck out. It was hard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Do you remember how many grams you did the first time?
A lot.
Like,
so my friends made a big batch.
Mm-hmm.
They made like a tea.
Okay.
And then they poured it out evenly, and it was supposed to be an eighth each.
An eighth of an ounce?
Yeah, so 3.5 grams.
Okay.
Which I now know is a lot.
That's a lot for a first time, yeah.
So not only did they do that, but then the mushrooms, after the tea is made, still have some psychedelic properties. Mm-hmm. So they were like, do you want some of them in your cup? And I was like, yeah, why not? Mm-hmm. Let's do that. So I ate even more.
You ate the fruit,
leftover.
Yeah, leftover, yeah.
Yeah, and...
It's a good idea.
Man, I went through it.
Drink your pee, too.
Dude.
I don't know. That's.
I might have done it on that night, man.
I've done it before. I don't know if it works or not, but
bro,
I've heard it does.
It was too much.
Yeah.
Way too much.
Yeah.
I went through some tough shit that night.
Mm-hmm. What was the setting?
Well, it was actually beautiful because I was with like some of my closest friends. I was with
that's good start.
The girl I was with, and we went on like a sunset hike. At sunset, we all took our dose.
Yeah.
And we went on this walk. They lived in this house up in the valley. Like, now they're building a housing development there, but it used to be just like open land in these hills. Mm-hmm. And so it was a bro house. It was a big, I wouldn't call it a frat house, but it's where we'd go to like drink and go hike, take the dogs out, shoot the guns, whatever. Mm-hmm. And we went on this little hike up to this spot they called the dog house. And as we're along the way, we're hitting the hike, and one by one, my friends are kind of dropping like flies. There was like one of my friends and his girlfriend at the time who were not in a good place. Mm-hmm. First, she branches off, starts throwing up, freaking the fuck out. And he goes and they're like, it's okay, leave them. They'll be fine. And I'm like, I feel like I'm leaving my friends at war, injured, and we're just letting them go and have their experience. It was all new for me. And we get to this top, and you can see the whole valley. It's, now the sun is down, it's dark. So you can see the whole valley just lit up, glimmering. And then behind us is just pitch black darkness. And I couldn't get comfortable facing either way. When I looked into the darkness, I was scared. It was fearful. I thought something was going to attack me. And when I looked at the city, the sheer number of people, number of souls being in that direction just was also very intimidating. The lights were too intense. And I wound up trying to organize my brain. Like the way I remember it was, my brain was like a house. Mm-hmm. And all my ideas and thoughts and my personality and whatever were boxes in different rooms. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to control it. Mm-hmm. So I tried to organize all the boxes in different rooms. And I'm just like freaking the fuck out, and I'm getting flashing images, and I'm questioning what it means. And I was really overthinking. Yeah. That's all it really was. Mm-hmm. I was just overthinking. And then afterwards, I overthought the whole experience for a year after that. I was like trying to figure out what it meant, what it all was, was someone trying to communicate with me or whatever. Ultimately, I realized I just overthink a lot, and I need to just like let things go and let things happen, and see where life takes me a little bit more, and not try to be so controlling about what I'm supposed to do, what I need to do. If you just go with what feels right, that's the path, right? Instead of trying to analyze each decision and each thing. So I took a lot away from that experience. It took me a long time to unpack all of it, and it made me scared of psychedelics for a long time.
But that was your first psychedelic experience. Had you smoked weed before that?
Yeah, I didn't start smoking pot until I was like 21. I tried it like once or twice, but
me too.
21, I was like, oh, this is cool. And in my hometown, everyone said, you smoke pot, your life is over, you're a loser. Yeah. And then come to California, and everybody smokes.
And in high school and college, you're just like drinking?
Yeah, not even really drinking. Like, I was an athlete in high school, and my dad told me, he's like, you don't want to be hungover. He would describe to me hangovers, or he'd point out people. Like, you want to feel like that? No. He's like, well, then don't drink. So I didn't really start drinking until I moved out here. But
that's the same with me, really. I started drinking in college. I didn't drink it all in high school. Yeah. Started in college and then through my 20s.
Yeah, and then once I hit that, stride, it was over for a few years. It was kind of crazy lifestyle.
Yeah, then you got deep into it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this first initial psychedelic experience, you're in the cocktail era?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cocktail era. I like that. That's good.
Thank you.
That's good.
And then you didn't have another psychedelic. Did you do mushrooms again after that?
Yeah, I think I tried it once or two more times, but way lower doses. But even then, there was like something that still freaked me out. And it actually wasn't until a couple weeks ago that I did mushrooms again, and I had a totally different experience I've done them now, I don't know, at least a dozen times, maybe 20. I like to go to Joshua Tree and just be in nature.
Yeah. Did that 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, I was at a music festival, though.
Oh, yeah?
So, overload of stimulation.
It's a little much.
But it was fucking awesome.
It was good?
I had a great time. I saw, that typical, like, the cartoon thing people show on TV. Like, this is what psychedelics feel like. Everything turns into a cartoon. Yeah. Started going that way.
You know what probably really helps with your psychedelic experiences in those environments? I know it has for me, is being a martial artist.
Oh, yeah, totally.
There's like a sense of security and calmness. Where you're like, I'll be okay. It's gonna be all right.
Just breathe, man. Just breathe. That's the most important thing. Yeah, that was awesome. I was like, I did not know mushrooms could be this way. Mm-hmm. I didn't know I could feel this way on mushrooms. Like, it was awesome. It was so cool.
I've been meaning to give you mushrooms and a couple other coaches mushrooms, and I just haven't had, I remember I didn't have enough, and then I just had a new batch come in, and I gave them to a coach here one time, but it was for another coach, and that coach wasn't in the class. So I was like, hello, coach filling in. Can you give this to so-and-so, coach? And they're like, yeah, sure. Right in their pocket. And I never heard anything about it ever again. So I was like, okay, maybe I should stop passing out mushrooms at the gym.
Yeah, maybe not the gym. Yeah.
And it was like right at the front desk, too.
Oh, man. Well.
Whatever. But anyway, so yeah, I'll bring you mushrooms, too. Because I also have. I've been meaning to bring you mushrooms. I want, anyone who I think would be open to it. There's a couple other coaches I thought would be open to it. Anyway.
Yeah, I know a couple of guys that have trained jiu-jitsu on mushrooms. Not on like an eighth, but...
I've done 2 tournaments on mushrooms.
Really?
Yes.
How was that?
I didn't want to... It was cool. I genuinely think... I do mushrooms a lot, and so I think, like weed, mushrooms can enhance my physical performance. Like, when I go hiking on mushrooms, like, fuck, I can do this all day. Whereas if I go hiking sober, it's like, I'm in good shape, I got good cardio, but like, I don't know, I feel like it just gives me an extra gas tank. Just like I feel like smoking sativa weed gives me like a little extra gas tank. It doesn't, I don't think it's great for like explosivity, which I'm noticing you need more in tournaments, but it's definitely, for me, weed helps with endurance over the course of like multiple hours or like a long session, or like maintaining a good pace, like a high pace. Mushrooms helps as well. It gives me like an even more gas tank. But in the context of jiu-jitsu tournament, I was like, dude, I don't want to fucking be here. What am I doing jiu-jitsu for? I just wanted to go hiking, it was good, like maybe a lower dose, and I don't know, and it is good. I think it's a PED, and for me, it is at least. But it like didn't help with my psychology. I was supposed to do gi and no gi, and after gi, I just left. So I was like, I don't want to do anymore. I'm gonna go hiking.
Yeah.
So I went hiking. So yeah.
That's interesting. I don't know. Marijuana, I could see. If I'm not learning, I can be high all the time. If I have to absorb new information.
That's the problem with
a little harder.
Yeah. I've stopped smoking it before Muay Thai, your class especially, because Muay Thai actually is harder for me to remember the combinations more than anything. At least with Jiu-Jitsu, I can like, you have a partner where you're repeating, I don't know, Jiu-Jitsu is a little easier for me. Muay Thai, remembering those combinations with hands being thrown at me is tough.
Yeah.
So I've tried to cut back on that with Muay Thai. Jiu-Jitsu, yeah.
You're attached to someone in Jiu-Jitsu too.
Yeah.
So it's like, you just have to look around or feel, and you can tell kind of what position you're in. Versus Muay Thai, that is constantly changing.
Yeah.
Or kickboxing or whatever.
Yeah.
The distance is
and
always
it's
changing.
Reaction time. I don't even spar. I have sparred, but I haven't sparred since I've really started coming regular with you and Coach Andy. But I don't know about reaction time with sparring. Anyway, but dude, with jiu-jitsu, like rolling, bro, I feel like I'm cheating sometimes. When I'm super baked and like got a good amount of caffeine in me, and I'm just like well rested and have a good day, I feel like I'm cheating. Like I'm not even thinking, I'm just flowing. I feel like I'm just like melting into positions on some of these dudes.
Yes.
Dude.
Yes.
On Sunday. I don't know if I should say this or not. But I'll leave out one part. I'll leave out some background. I'm going to talk about this eventually in the podcast. I'll leave out the context.
I'm excited now.
But I'll leave out the context. I'll just say what happened on Sunday. On Sunday, on open mats, I love getting high before open mats. I always get high before open mat. I'm also really trying to cut down on the amount of weed I smoke. And so I'm like, such a big supply of weed, so I'm like going through my supply of weed. I'm getting rid of the vape pens, so it's like that's my like detox progression. It's like, hey, no more vape pens, because you can just bring them everywhere, dude. You can smoke vape pen anywhere. So it's like, okay, I'm only gonna smoke flower now. At least it like will restrict the places where I smoke weed. Well, it doesn't restrict from smoking weed like in the fucking alley right before open mat. Like literally billow of smoke as I'm walking into the gym. I didn't think, you know, when you're high and it's like everyone knows I'm high. I walk in there, no dude, everyone at open mat turns is like, who just fucking smoked weed? I'm like, it's me. It's like everyone at open mat look at me. But dude, at some point in open mat, I'm getting pretty good at jiu-jitsu, and it's becoming a little difficult finding partners to roll with me. Higher level belts don't necessarily want to roll, but so a black belt chose me to roll, which I always very much appreciate. Higher belts choosing to roll with me, and I'll match everyone energy rolling. Just because you're a higher belt or a lower belt, I'm not going to try to win. I'm trying to match your energy. So if I can feel that like I'm way better than you or stronger than you, or you're just having a tired day, I'm not, you know, I'm going to tone it back. So it's like more of an even match. If I feel like you're crushing me, like there's dudes that are bigger than me, higher level butts, and they're crushing me, I'm like, ah, fuck, I'm just going to try to survive. I really try to match people's energy. So and then under normal circumstance, I would get tapped probably within the first minute of rolling with this guy, because, you know, I'm not trying to, I want him to establish his authority or whatever first, and then we can get into it. I gotta slap hands with this guy, and a brown belt next to him goes, like jokingly, guys will be like, careful, he does yoga, you know, he does yoga, careful, kind of joking around, like, you know, this, be careful with this dude. Yeah, and this guy knows me, they all know, I know all these guys. But this dude goes, yeah, but he's baked, and he's a white belt. And that change triggered me. That shit triggers me, man. That shit triggers me. We really need to change our minds. The white belt thing, whatever. Although people do need to. I'm not a huge. The belt system totally makes sense. But actually, the last mushroom trip I did, I had this great like vision download from the universe or whatever about creating a jiu-jitsu gym where there's no belts, where everyone just like goes in, and you have to match each other's energy to begin with. Like it takes the ego out of it. There's no, on both a good and bad side. It's like if you just want to roll with someone straight up, it forces everyone to kind of be respectful of one another, I think, from the beginning, like as you're like making contact or whatever. And then from there you got to figure each other out. And then I think ultimately it would promote everyone's game, because I think you would see lower belts tapping higher belts. I think you would see higher belts getting better rolls from, I think everyone ended up rising together. Anyway, the belt system makes sense and I like it, but people do need to open their minds that it's not the end all be all of existence. And they definitely need to open their mind with regard to marijuana and like what it means if someone is a user of marijuana, dude. Yeah. It's a fucking plant that grows in the ground. You motherfuckers drink coffee this morning? Because that's a plant that goes from the ground that everyone drinks as a means of enhancing their life or managing their psychology or getting through their fucking day. So people need to really need to change their conception about what it means if someone's a user of a plant that grows in the dirt, like fucking tomatoes and onions and coffee and green tea and sugar matcha and whatever. And so that triggered me. And once again, I didn't go hard. I was like, I'm high as fuck. You know, I'm just going to roll into this, but I'm not getting tapped. And I rolled that motherfucker's back for 5 minutes. And not even trying. Because I'm high as shit and I got great cardio because of it. I'm in a flow state because of the weed. Maybe you should get high next time before you roll. And you wouldn't get your back ridden by a white ball for 5 minutes. So anyway, I don't know, man. That's a lot of what I want to do with this podcast too, is just have conversations with people that people feel very restricted in their behavior and in their the things they say. And as I become more of an adult and have more experiences with more adults, like you're in your 30s now, it's like it's a cool age to be at, because you can like interact with the whole variety of human beings, right? You can hang out with kids and kids like respect you, and then you can talk to someone who's 70 and they kind of respect you as an established adult. It's a cool like place to be in.
It is. I like that.
Yeah, I like it being in my 30s in that way. So yeah, I want to have, I don't know, I feel like it's a good time to have conversations with people about all types of things. But I genuinely deeply believe that both in your communication and in your actions, that it's about intent. it's about where you're coming from, and that's very hard to interpret sometimes what people's intent is, but only you know, as the actor or the communicator or the whatever, what your intent is and where you're coming from. And I, from the beginning of my conscious awareness, and especially as I've grown into adulthood and smoked more weed and done more mushrooms, I really on a daily, and meditate and yoga and all that shit, I really on a daily basis try to come from a good place and a good intent. Yeah. And what's best for you and what's best for everyone around you, that sometimes can get tricky, right? Sometimes you need to be selfish if you want to grow in certain areas. But I always try to come from a good place of intent for what's best for myself and what's best for others. And that's what people need to, I don't know, it's see beyond kind of the surface, and kind of like you're talking about with psychedelics and DMT, and that comment I made about like lifting the filter, like a shitty filter. I don't know, if you start to kind of wake up, open your third eye, I think you start to see people's intent more than, I don't know, necessarily the sounds that they're making or the movements that they're making or whatever. But I recognize that in you. That's why I asked you to be on this podcast, and the people that I've spoken to thus far on this podcast from Legacy, I've recognized that in them as well. It's like I can see, even though, like someone like Ellen, for instance, Ellen and I exchanged probably like, I've had her on this podcast already. Yeah. And I sat down with her for like 3 hours asking her her life story. And prior to that, her and I probably exchanged like 10 words ever. But I just knew. I was like, I want to sit down and talk to this chick about what's going on. Yeah. I just sense, and a good intention in her existence and an awareness of being. So anyway, I went on a kind of a talking shit rant there, but.
No, yeah, I like it. I like the what you're saying about intention. I think I've had some psychedelic experiences where I could visualize that kind of intention. I think we're talking about the same thing, but the way I visualized it was as like a traveling light with a path, kind of like you ever take a sparkler and you move really fast, you can see the path. While tripping on whatever psychedelic it was that time, I could see the people around me's path behind them.
Whoa.
And kind of where they came from physically, of course, like that was very present, but also I felt like that was parallel to where they came from spiritually, emotionally.
Right. Yeah.
And then I could also see where their path, although it was more faded, where their path was leading.
Right.
And it got me thinking, after seeing that, like having that visualization, it got me thinking a lot about, like, is there a way I can feel where someone has kind of come from and where they're going, not with like specificity, but more as like a broad stroke of, oh, this person is on a similar path to me, versus someone who is totally going a different way. Yeah. And it's hard to recognize that sober, but I think it got me thinking a lot more about finding people with similar intent or on similar paths to me. Or not even similar paths, but just guided in a direction that is towards growth and improvement and positivity.
100%.
You know?
Which is why I have no friends. Because people are hard to find. Not to say that like I'm on some like unique path. Maybe maybe I'm the fuck. I am the weird one. I know I'm a weird one. But I find it difficult to, at this point in my life, I used to just be like, dude, I just want to hang out with anybody, either platonically or romantically. Like, let's just hang. It didn't, dudes I'd hang out with that are just all over the place, girls I'd hang out with that are all over the place. And now I'm much more, I don't want to say selective, like it's judgmental, but it's a little judgmental, but it feels more natural than that, right? It's like a recognition of soul or whatever. Like, are me and this person really going to resonate, or would it be better off for both of us if we just went our separate ways or whatever? And
imagine how much, smoother things would be if you could recognize that from, an early onset. But also, it's great to surround yourself. I don't just want to surround myself with people that are like-minded. That's definitely not the direction I want to go. I want to have people with different perspectives and different mindsets, but also have like this common intent or common goal, just for, I don't want to say the greater good because it sounds so culty and so I have a negative connotation with that, but essentially for the betterment of themselves, the people around them, and the world as a whole. Those are the kind of people I want to surround myself with. To varying degrees. Maybe not everyone wants to change the world and whatever, but maybe they want to improve. They have a great desire or intent to improve people's lives, even if it's one person. That one person could change the world. So I try to associate with people like that as much as I can. And I think this gym has been a great meeting point where I see a lot of those paths crossing. And so I'm really grateful for it. I think we were talking about the other day how, like, just being in this place, there's definitely something about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's, a spiritual crossroads or how that works, but it definitely feels like one of those places where, greatness or positivity kind of exudes from this place. So that's why I try to spend so much time here.
Yeah, I think you're in a big city, and this is so that you're going to have a lot of powerful people in a city like LA with good energy. And then martial arts is going to attract people that want to improve themselves and take chances and have courage. And then on top of that, this is a pretty big martial arts gym for LA. Martial arts gyms, like, it's kind of crazy. There's not like, it's a very uncorporatized environment for the most part. Like, there's not like an equinox of martial arts or something, For the most part, martial arts still seems to be basically mom and pop shops, for lack of a better term. And this is one of the like bigger, more, established ones in LA with multiple locations. And so, yeah, and this is the headquarters. And so you do get a lot of good energy coming through here and powerful energy. And not everything, not everyone's a fucking saint or whatever, but it's definitely interesting. Dude, I've been drawn here. I literally am here all fucking day, every day. I operate, this is like my headquarters. It's crazy how much, I wasn't even going here a year ago. I've been like back going to this gym for like 6 months maybe, and it's like my home.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they were able to foster that here.
Yeah.
This kind of vibe or whatever, but they've done a good job. And I used to teach at a gym that is shooting for exactly what you said. They want to be the equinox of kickboxing and Muay Thai.
Okay.
That's their whole goal. So there are definitely people out there trying to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, this gym is a great example. I mean, it used to be a Gracie Baja.
Yeah.
Gracie Baja is everywhere. It's like Starbucks,
Yeah.
And not taking anything away from them.
Yeah.
But they're very corporatized, very system-oriented and organized. Yeah. Legacy's kind of taking that same route. I think once you grow past a certain size, you have to implement
100%.
I don't think you have to, and I think there's a better way to do it than most people do. But that's why I don't own my own gym.
Yeah.
Right? But there are definitely other gyms. Muay Thai kickboxing gym where I used to teach. They just opened their second location, I think, last year. But their whole goal is to be nationwide. They want to be the equinox, the Gracie Baja of kickboxing and Muay Thai across the country. So there are people with lofty goals that are trying to make that happen. And I certainly believe that they have the drive and potential to do stuff like that. But I don't know if it's for the best of the people or the art, Once anything gets too big, there's obviously there has to be some watering down of things. I think that's inevitable personally. But and I'm definitely not like a traditionalist that things need to stay the same forever. But at some point when you're getting so big, things just get lost in the sauce. You lose that touch, and you can feel it when you work somewhere when they lose that touch and they're going corporate, because that's usually when a lot of people want to leave. They're like, nah, this isn't really the vibe I'm looking for, I don't want to go into specifics and I think I'm calling somebody out, but a lot of these corporate structures they put into place just feel so robotic and humanless, and they're not about the relationship, which is kind of, a lot of what martial arts is. It's, Alberto talks about it, lineage, it's all over the walls. It's called legacy, right? The lineage is important. The relationship between instructor and student is important. It's not just about paying your bills or making some money, and I think that's what gets lost in that corporatized structure that a lot of people want to avoid. And I think that whatever.
No.
A lot of things.
Keep going.
I don't know. I love this country and I love the city and I love how people are.
Just gonna go for some fucking.
Yeah, a little macro, a little meta for you. But we have all this, people are so driven to be the biggest, the best that they can, when I think that's beautiful. But it's also okay to not be the biggest, the best. Yep. It's okay to just do what you love and enjoy it and love it. I don't know if you've seen that clip going around. I'm kind of bouncing all over the place now, but you've seen that clip of Ethan Hawke talking about he was coaching a musician who wasn't an actor to play a role. It's a beautiful clip. But basically he's saying, if you're acting, if you're getting into acting because you want to be a movie star, then you're wasting your fucking time because the universe decides that. We don't have any influence out of it. I think what he said, I'm probably misquoting him here, but if you see the clip, look for the clip. He says, like, if you would not be happy being an acting coach in your 60s at a middle school in nowhere, Oregon, then what the fuck are you doing here?
Right.
If you're not happy sharing this art with people at that level, then don't waste your fucking time because you don't get to decide whether or not you get cast for the role or you get famous or rich or whatever. You don't get to decide any of those things. The universe decides that. And in the universe, the world is weird. It seems so random at times. So whatever you're doing, pursue it because you love it, not because you want to accomplish some goal, whether that be status or fame or a title or whatever. You should just do this because you love to do it, right? And I thought that was a beautiful sentiment, that a lot of people that are pushing to be these big corporate entities could learn a lot from.
Yes. Yes. The goal I'm a capitalist, right? I consider myself, for lack of better terms, I wouldn't say capitalist. I believe in the value of capitalism. I'm certainly like capitalism, a fucking nanny, and I've been a school teacher and worked in nonprofits and shit. But I believe in the power of capitalism, certainly, as opposed to the alternatives. And I would consider myself a libertarian politically. I don't believe in government regulation, as little government regulation as possible. But you gotta check yourself, right? People need to develop souls, consciousness, it's awareness. It's like kind of what we were talking about before with relating to people of a certain consciousness. That's what we need as a society. I personally believe we're going to a point, and I'm taking your beautiful little sentiment somewhere else, but I believe we're progressing to a point as a human species where government will no longer be needed because our human consciousness and human awareness will be enough to govern ourselves, and eventually we'll be able to govern and police ourselves. I look at the human species like I look at a human individual. It was a baby born that grows up into adulthood that'll eventually die and disappear, or perhaps if we transcend, who knows? I don't know what happens after you die. So maybe you die and go into the dirt, or maybe you quote unquote die and transcend, and we can do that as a species. But just like a child needs its mother's breasts at its earliest age and can't be far from her within those first several months, and then can kind of eat on its own and could even survive without a father potentially from the beginning. And then as you enter adolescence, you need less and less supervision. You start fending for your own. I think human species is the same way, and the government plays the role of parents. And that when we were, coming out of the caves, we probably did need a more repressive, restrictive government and system of authority, religion, whatever it may be, to kind of suppress and regulate our human impulses, our animalistic impulses. And I think the human species now is like a stage of adolescence, where some of us are still a little fucking wild and we could use some oversight, but for the most time it's time to start moving out of the house and start being out on our own, and we can start kind of shutting down government piece by piece is what I would like to see politically. So you need to regulate yourself. You can't just pursue your own selfish needs without awareness of your impact you're having on others or the larger whole. And we started this conversation by talking about legacy as an individual gym and not losing its path. But I think what is the quote? As above, so below. Like everything, how do I put this into terms? Everything is just a microcosm of a macrocosm. Like the same kind of principles of life apply in kind of all circumstances, be it a small gym going corporate, be it a human being going corporate, going capitalist, or growing up, be it a human species, the universe, everything I think kind of follows this pattern of like breathing in, breathing out. I don't know. It's everything's a microcosm of a macrocosm is the only way I can think of to put it.
It's like scalable.
Yeah, scalable. Everything is fractal and scalable. Yeah.
It's funny. I study markets, trading, crypto, and stocks.
Yeah.
And they're just green bars and red bars.
Right,
green bars and red bars. That's all
they
are.
Called candles?
Candlesticks. And they have wicks above and below, right? And if some of the old school guys will argue that you could actually see cultural psychology playing out in those charts because they happen in these patterns.
Yeah.
And generally, the last time X happened, the depression was a result.
Yeah.
Or whatever, the stock market crash, the recession, they say that you can predict cultural or major events by looking at these charts. But the funny thing about them is that they're all fractal. Your smaller time frames, all the way down to like the 2 second.
Yeah, crazy.
You have bars that are who's buying and selling every 2 seconds, all the way up to quarterly, yearly, decade charts. That one bar represents 10 years. It's just a cool parallel, I think, to life as well. Yeah, there it is again, and fucking the most capitalistic thing ever, but down to the human soul, right? Trading crypto to developing as a little baby. Yeah. Yeah. It is very interesting.
Tell me about the specifics of your DMT experience, and where was that timeline within the first time you took mushrooms, back to the cocktail eras, kind of where we left off in the chronology.
It was, I don't want to say the turning point, but it was right at the beginning of that turn of my life, right? It was a racetrack. It was right as you enter the turn. DMT was intense. They're doing the bag work, huh?
Yeah, we're at the gym, by the way. I should have said this fucking hour and 15 minutes ago, but we're in a little apartment right above the gym, so yeah, you can hear the entire time.
The punching bag moving around.
Someone is putting in work on the heavy bag right now, and has
But it was actually an amazing experience the first time. The second time was cool too, but we were out for a friend's birthday. It was with like my closest group of friends I developed as an adult out here in California. And we get together, now once or twice a year. So we're all adults, people married and kids and whatever, life. But we all got together for our friend's birthday, and she wanted to go sing karaoke. Personally, I'm not a fan of karaoke, but we got like a private room. We went in there, we did the whole thing. It was a lot of fun. We were all drinking a little bit, some of us more than others, and then they're like, "Oh, we're going back to my place. We're gonna
smoke DMT.
Hang out." It wasn't even on the docket, bro. Didn't even discuss it. We didn't know until we got there. My homie was like, "Oh, he's a very crafty character.
Okay.
He thinks outside the box. He's very creative. He doesn't believe in rules. I'm not sure if it's him too, but his roommate is an anarchist.
Okay, sounds like me.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. You might enjoy talking to him actually as well. But he's like, I've been practicing and I made DMT.
Whoa!
I made it, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Definitely need to talk to this guy.
Kind of took a big step back. Was like, "Whoa!" And we're sitting in the house, whatever, chit chatting. There's maybe a dozen of us, and the one dude is like,
he's been sampling like all of the beta versions.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Your track of thinking is perfect. Yes. He experimented for several months, trying it himself.
All right.
Smoking out of bowls and bongs and trying to figure out,
President of the United
dude,
States.
he would love to hear you say that. But he's been experimenting with how to smoke it and how to get the cleanest dose, and it's not something I had never considered until talking to people later. He's like, you want to get like a nice steady long draw, and you want to do like 2 or 3 of those to really break through the chrysanthemum, that's what they call like the barrier, right? Mm-hmm. And so he's like, I got it into a pen because you'd hit it once off the bong or the bowl, and you get like a really big hit, but then just like any bong or bowl, the second hit isn't quite the same. Right. So he was having a hard time breaking through. So he developed it, and from YouTube and the internet, into a vape pen. So he's like, you smoke this pen, you could do DMT. One of the guys in the group is like, I'd love to do that. So they go to the front yard.
Whoa!
And he just does it in the front yard.
Right off the bat, it was like, hey man, let me see you do it first.
Within 10 minutes.
Dude, I'm crazy about it. Like, how are we gonna 2 or 3 dudes do this first?
My same train of thought, bro. I was like, maybe one person does it first, and then like, I don't know, like I'm still new to all this. Like, I just tried these drugs the first time, like the year before, and so he does it, and he comes back in, and he's just like this. He doesn't look like he's cracked out. He just
only lasts like 10 or 15 minutes, right?
It's so short.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So we couldn't even finish a beer in the time that he had to strip and came back in.
Whoa.
So then I'm like, you know what? I'm down. Fuck it. Like, I'll be the second person to go.
Probably a few drinks deep.
Let's do it. Exactly. So we go in the backyard, and we're getting ready to do it, and I'm like, he's like, whatever, we're talking chit-chat, not in a hurry to do it, and then we're talking chit-chat, and I was like, I started getting nervous, started getting anxious, I started freaking the fuck out, and I was like, you know what, man, I need a minute, just give me a minute, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. And he was like, all right, cool, no worries, man, no pressure, don't worry about it. It's like, not a big deal. Like, all right. A few minutes go by. I kind of sit there. I calm myself down. I start my breathing. I practice my breathing to remain calm and remember like that's my anchor point. At any point during a bad trip or a bad day in my life, if I can get back to my breathing, that's my anchor point, and I know I'm safe there.
Whoa, so you already developed a little bit of practice. So you had a couple mushroom experiences prior to this?
Yeah.
Is this where you developed this anchor point concept, or did you have the anchor point concept prior to mushrooms?
I think it was, no, I didn't have it prior to mushrooms.
Okay.
And I think it was still in development at that point.
Yeah.
Like I knew I had to calm myself down. I didn't realize how important at that time the breathing was.
Right.
But I was able to calm myself down.
Well, okay, so you went through this conscious game plan before that. Okay, so yeah, you're definitely already kind of waking up prior. Yeah. Everything about anchor point and this is gonna be a wild ride and just breathe. That's like kind of high. I consider higher level thinking about. You know what you're getting yourself into in a little bit.
But it's kind of like learning to run, right? First, you're kind of falling.
Yeah.
That's where I was. I was kind of like, I was running, quote unquote, but I was actually stumbling in reality.
Yeah, but at least you knew like what you're trying to do and what it looked like. Like, you know what running looks like. I know what I'm going for here.
Yes,
if I fall down, I'm going to get back up sort of thing.
Yeah.
I've seen other people run or something.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, all right, let me check this out. So we go in the backyard, and they have like I have to paint the picture because it really sets the setting for me.
Yeah, especially it's fucking life-changing.
Bro, they have this patio in the backyard with like a covering, like a roofing cover, and it's all lit underneath there. And then just beyond the lit part is just like it's not the middle of the night. It's like a dark garden. Oh, and we're her parents' house, by the way.
Okay.
With her 7 family members sleeping right upstairs. Well, we're just partying it up. So
7?
They're a foster family. They take care of a lot of people.
Oh,
yeah. Gnarly. So we lay down a little blanket. I take my shoes off. Oh man, I just tossed those shoes away too. I sat down I had these cool like rainbow chucks with like highlighter laces. I just remember looking at them; they were dope. So I take my shoes off. I empty my pockets. I put down a little rug, and like the other dude, I think just went in the front and sat down and smoked. But I was like, well, let me create a comfortable environment.
Yeah, that's good.
So he's like, all right. So here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna inhale for what did he say? 20 seconds or whatever, 10 seconds, and then hold it in for 8 seconds.
Okay.
You're going to blow it out, and then you're going to hit it again. You're going to do the same thing 3 times.
Okay.
And I was like, 8, 10, 20, what the fuck? I was like, can you count for me? Like, I don't know. That's too much instruction. Can you just tell me when to hit? And he was like, yeah, no problem. So I take the vape pen, I hit it. He's like, keep going, hold it. Or maybe it was hit for 4, hold for 8, whatever. So I'm holding it, he's counting. And my first exhale, I swear to God, I was breathing out rainbows.
Whoa.
Like I felt just this energy of colors and light just come out of me. And I kind of paused, and he goes, hit it again. So I just listened to him. I hit it again, and I hear him go, 1, breathe out. And so I blow it out, and he goes, hit it again. And at this point, everything is gone. I felt like I had been launched somehow through the top of my skull, through this chrysanthemum. I imagine it kind of like a spider, not like a Spider-Man web. Like you break through, it kind of stretches and moves with you, and then you explode all the way through. Hit it again. I can still hear him saying, hit it again. And I just feel myself fall back and fucking float. I can't tell you too much about the visuals that I experienced, because it was not very clear or concise. I had this feeling of understanding. That's the best way I can describe it. I just felt like I understood. Like, life's okay. It's not that big of a deal. Everything's going to be fine. No matter what, everything's going to be fine. And as I come out of it, I felt like, you remember Rolodexes? I felt like I was coming down through a Rolodex, click, like it was spinning really fast. But the Rolodex was realities. And I was cycling through, which I think of now as kind of like what you see in movies, right? Is like you exist in infinite universes, right? Different versions of you and different experiences, every little possible difference is there. I was going through all those. But in all of them, I was there doing the DMT. So as I'm coming down, I realized that in every possible universe, I'm going through the same experience at the same time. And as I'm coming down, I kind of open my eyes, I sit up, and I swear to you, all my friends are standing underneath the lit part of the patio. They're all looking at me. Only 1 or 2 of these people had done it. And I could feel from all of them that they understood too. It was almost like all of my friends were welcoming me back. Like,
whoa.
Finally, man, we've been waiting for you. Like, this is the real you. This is the real understanding of the world. Like, we knew you had it in you. You just had to find it again. And none of them had done it.
Whoa.
So that was completely in my own head. And I
Or
come
not.
out. Maybe.
It's just not in their heads yet, but it's in their hearts, it's in their souls.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what I think. It's there. You went to that dimension where they understand that already. You went to the place of higher understanding.
Yeah.
They're there, like you said. They're in that dimension already. They haven't smoked the pipe or whatever, done the whatever experience to access it yet, but that doesn't mean it's not there. That's how I perceive that.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot better.
And that's my experience too with high levels of psychedelics. I've never done TNT, but I've done high levels of mushrooms. I've had a similar feeling to where all of my loved ones, they weren't even there physically, but I was just coming back. It was all my loved ones there welcoming me with open arms and that same sense of understanding that, like, there you are. Like, you're ready to understand your higher self. There's a higher self for you. Okay, now you see. But once again, like, some of these people, my grandma was never fucking touched anything in her life.
Totally.
So, yeah.
But that feeling, it's almost like a warm embrace.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And so all of those feelings, and I come out and I go to my buddy that made it, and I consider him my shaman, and I was like, I gave him a hug, and I started crying, and I was just like, I think you got your wings today, bro. Like, you guided me through this, because he counted for me, and he kind of set me down gently and guided me through this whole experience. Even when I was getting a little panicky, he was so calm in his demeanor, and he's a little antsy of a guy. He's kind of strung out a little bit.
Yeah,
but he was
experimenting with new versions of DMT all day.
But in that time, he was so calm and understanding and guiding. I just felt this, like, intense connection with him. And I was like, I think you're an angel and you got your wings today. You guided me through this experience, and I'm, like, forever grateful. And as I'm coming out, one or two of my friends were lagging, and they had just shown up. I hugged them, and they were like, bro, it's all good. Like, this understanding, even though they didn't even know what was going on. So I had this powerful, transformative experience. And then one by one, not all of them, but I think of the dozen people, probably 9 or 10 of them followed suit.
Whoa!
And almost everyone did it that night. And not a single one of us had a plan to do it that night.
Right.
People had different degrees of, like, how far they broke through. Like, my one friend mentioned that because we had been drinking, he said he was in, those old telephone operator rooms where they connect the lines manually? He said he felt he was in one of those rooms, like, but it was these entities, and it was like a waiting room. And they were like, you're not in the right mind frame to see this right now, so we're just going to hold you here until you come out of it.
Whoa!
So I told him no.
Oh, shit! That's awesome.
They held him in the waiting room.
Yeah, you're not ready, buddy.
So him and...
he was drunk?
I don't know if he was drunk, but he had been drinking more than me.
Right.
I didn't...
That's what it was, yeah.
Something like that. Today. Crazy.
That's crazy.
And one or two other people had a similar experience, but almost everyone did it. And then they almost all of them did it again later down the line to really break through. But really powerful. And my buddy that makes it, actually, I should talk to him and see how he feels about it now, but he's done it a lot.
Yeah, I bet.
There was a time when he did it, and they were like...
Too much.
No more.
Yeah.
We've shown you everything.
Yeah.
There's nothing left to see.
You're abusing this.
Stop coming back here.
Bro, I had that experience with weed. 100%. I believe that 100% that he had that experience as real as you and I talking today. Dude, I had an experience with weed in summer of 2017. It was the summer before my last year teaching, and I was in a relationship with a very good, mature girl, and I was the opposite. Like, I am fucking Barack Obama compared to the person I was then, today. And weed was, I didn't have a handle on it. And maybe it changed me now to have a handle on it, because I could go without smoking weed, but I really do feel like I'm a happier, calmer, and physically better performer when I'm high. But at the time, I was misusing it, abusing it. It was not enhancing my life. It was absolutely a form of escape. And today, I'm not escaping shit when I smoke weed. But that's what it was. I was using it to, like, isolate myself from the relationship, from the job, from nothing crazy in life. But I was abusing it. And I remember I did acid and smoked weed one time. And dude, fucking plant talk to me. Like I was like packing a bowl or rolling a joint or something, and it was like, it wasn't like a visual thing, but it like, like you're done here. Like stop. You must stop smoking weed. You're abusing this. Like you need to let this shit go. Like I saw the relationship. I saw my family. Like it was just like a direct communication with the plant. That was like, you got to stop. I forgot I was talking to a plant. It was crazy. So I stopped. I stopped for several months after that.
Wow.
And now I talk to the plant. At less of a direct level, but I'll talk. When I'm on mushrooms, I'll have some sort of communication with. When I'm on mushrooms, dude, I feel like I'm getting downloads from the universe. If I describe
That's
it in any way.
Yes.
I'm just getting downloads from the universe. And I think that's maybe what it is. And like you said about the issues you were having that first time you did it with the boxes and trying to control your thoughts, the boxes in the house, I've gotten really good when I'm on mushrooms of just being like, I'm just downloaded fucking knowledge. I'm just sitting here. Like I'm just a hard drive. Like I'm nothing. I'll be walking or doing whatever. Maybe I'm just chilling and I'll just be downloading knowledge. And then during that time, if I smoke weed, I can kind of communicate with weed and it'll tell me like if this is a good idea or is a bad idea. And typically when I smoke weed and I'm on mushrooms, like, yeah, this is what this is for.
Yeah, they
expand your mind, reduce your anxiety, give you a different perspective of existence. This is what this tool is for. Damn, dude, that fucking DMT experience is insane. So what did you feel? Do you feel sober within like 15 minutes? You feel normal? 20 minutes?
So yeah, you're in and out in 15.
Okay. And
Maybe
did you feel like then, as you're coming to within the rest of that night, that like, did you feel a shift in your consciousness to an extent, or did it feel like a watershed moment at that night?
I feel like it's like any, I don't want to say traumatic experience, but any big experience that you experience, like there wasn't much of a come down. Mm-hmm. I mean, for the little while after, like whatever, 10 or 15 minutes maybe I'd say, like the plants were still kind of moving and doing funny things, very fractal-like, but nothing was really intense. It was very tame. But ultimately, it was like a really big experience or traumatic experience where it happens to you and you absorb it, but then as you reflect, you start to like take it apart and learn more about what the experience meant and what your reaction meant and how this should or shouldn't change your perspective on the world. So there was a lot of unpacking to do.
It's like the opposite of alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like when you get super fucked up and you're like, you think you know everything and I'm going to do this, I'm going to take over the world and fuck this guy. And
cocaine is like that.
And then the next morning you're like, immediately you start unpacking regret.
Yep. What did I do? Why did I do that? What an idiot.
How wrong was I? Why was I thinking? How could I possibly think that? How could I possibly do that?
Polar opposite. 100% flip. Yeah, completely different.
Okay.
So it took some unpacking, and the second experience I had wasn't as clean, but still pretty powerful. And actually, that was at a time when Conor McGregor was coming up.
Yeah.
And I don't associate these two things very closely, but I was in the midst of the beginning of my Muay Thai training.
Okay.
And I was just like starting to get into it. I want to say it was right before I started here at Legacy. So maybe 2017.
And so did you have any martial arts experience growing up?
Yeah, as a kid I did Taekwondo.
Okay.
My dad pulled me out. Stupid reason, but pulled me out. He didn't like how much stretching we were doing at a very young age.
That was bad for you or something?
Yeah, he's been a personal trainer my whole life, and everyone he was studying under or learning from back then was, very against stretching as a whole, especially for young kids. Like,
Smart.
You're so limber. I know. You're so limber. Why do you need to stretch? And in his defense, I don't hold it against him, but it does bug me a little, to be honest with you. Sorry, Dad, I love you.
Yeah.
But in his defense, what he saw was what happened to people when they got older and they were not stretching properly, or they didn't have the right guidance on how to stretch, or they were doing everything wrong, and so they wound up having more issues later in life because they did all these other things. And that's where his mind frame was. And again, this is before the internet was big, before a lot of information was available, so he only had what his instructor or leader was telling him. So he pulled me out. And I mean, in an hour class, again, we were spending 30 minutes stretching. So I kind of get it. But that's all I had.
That is a lot of stretching.
It's too much.
Okay.
And I wish he'd put me into boxing or something. Who knows? Maybe I wouldn't have stuck with it. But yeah.
So you did a little bit of Taekwondo, like a
little
couple
bit.
years?
That was it. Maybe 2 years.
Okay.
And then I started boxing because I was working at the bar.
Here. Now we're in LA.
Glendale. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So I'm in Glendale. I just left school.
So you started boxing from the bar. Like we're in the bar. Like this is kind of rough environment.
It was like a cocktail bar. It was supposed to be very chill, very cool. But in 1 week, I had to stop, get involved in 3 different fights in 1 week, and I was like, this is ridiculous. I realized I don't know how to fight. Mm-hmm. Like I was one of those guys. It wasn't like, oh, if I see red. It was more like, oh, I'm gonna trust my instincts, and I think I'll know what to do. Fucking idiot. But
my mentality, bro.
Fucking moron. But I started boxing with my friend, and for like 6 months or a year, and then my other buddy was training Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu at the time, and he was like, you should try Muay Thai. You know, it's like boxing, but real fighting. And I was like, oh, okay, let's see what this is about. And elbows, knees, and kicks. I was like, fuck yeah. Let's do all that. And that was kind of the beginning. And again, all this is happening as I'm kind of trying to exit the bar scene.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to clear this long-term kind of toxic relationship. I'm going through these psychedelics where it's just changing my perspective on the whole world. And then I'm introduced to this whole new thing that feels similar to me as bartending, as far as like I could see myself getting really into this, into being very passionate and knowledgeable and understanding this at a deeper level. Mm-hmm. And I could probably pursue this for many years before I get any negative side effects. Whereas with the bartending and the cocktails and the flavors was like the negative side, the lifestyle fucks you up. So it was a perfect couple years that were not very fun. But
how often were you drinking at your heaviest drinking?
All day, every day.
All day, every day?
I wouldn't. I had friends that were a lot worse. I had friends who would crack a beer before they went to bed and set it down next to their bed so they had something to drink when they woke up. I was never that bad.
What?
I was never that bad. But it was...
Whoa, dude.
I was drinking...
It's like Wake and Bakers for alcohol that exists and it can be functional, like have a job and shit. Whoa, I guess...
as a bartender especially.
Right. And your tolerance, I guess, and you probably just need it.
Skyrockets.
Bro.
I'm working 12-hour shifts. I'm riding my bike.
What is like a day? What does your shift start?
It was a smaller owned bar, not corporatized. They're okay with overtime, but they expect you to work 12 hours.
Uh-huh.
So I was drinking a lot, so I wouldn't drive, which was good for a while. But I would ride my bike 13 miles to the bar.
Because you'd already been drinking?
Because I wanted to drink that night at work.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And I was just like, I need some sort of exercise, and riding the bike is fun. There were a lot of perks, but being able to drink a lot was the largest. Uh-huh. So I'd ride my bike 13 miles to work. It's about an hour to work. And then I'd work from, 4 to 3, 4 to 4, and get on my bike and ride home trashed. I mean,
Josiah?
Trashed.
Who is that? Yeah. I think it's Josiah.
All right.
I see a shot. Okay.
So,
riding home trashed.
Oh yeah, falling
what
off my
time
bike.
did you start drinking at work?
As I started prep.
It's like late afternoon.
Yeah, and it wasn't like, 2 or 3. I mean, sometimes I'd have a beer at home. Sometimes I'd get to work early and go next door and have a beer. Mm-hmm. But noon, 1 o'clock, you start, and then throughout the night you have, especially at that particular bar, I would have 4 drinks at all times. I would have a bottle of water, a red eye of coffee, which was 4 shots of espresso in a large cup of coffee. And then I would have a whiskey that was usually paid for by a regular that I would sip on. Then I have a little glass of beer that I would drink regularly too. So at any given time, I have 4 drinks.
How much are you peeing?
I don't even know, bro.
Was it a lot?
I have no
idea.
idea.
I pee a lot.
Probably.
Okay.
I wasn't drinking a lot of water.
Okay.
But it was still there. Yeah, that's what a regular day looked like.
Okay.
And then get home as the sun is coming up. Sleep till 10 or 11. Get up, take the dog out, have a beer.
Do you feel hungover?
I didn't back then. Or if I did, it was like hair of the dog. Just start drinking again.
How often were you working?
5-6 days a week.
Oh shit! So that was the job.
That was it.
Whoa.
And then on my days off, me and my coworkers would go terrorize the city.
Right. And so this is your social group too, is doing the same thing. So you're not really recognizing this as...
Well, when I started, I was like 23 or 24. I'm newly single. I'm like a somewhat attractive guy, and I get a cool nickname. Mm-hmm. That's where I got Roadhouse from.
Oh yeah, from the bar.
And I'm in a position of power. I guess you could call it that. That makes it sound really bad. But I'm a bartender. Bartender.
Yeah.
And so attention from the girls was just like, it's like a waterfall.
Yeah.
Constantly. So that's all we would do. We would just, and we'd hang out with we'd get the girls to come to the bar or the guys that bartended elsewhere. And then on our days off, we'd go visit them. And on their days off, they come visit us. So I went through this cycle of like making more money than I ever made.
And you just moved to LA. Yeah.
Relatively. Yeah. I was like, life is cool. I'm having a lot of fun. And eventually it was like, this is not healthy. This is really bad. But I saw so much of the city. I got to meet so many people.
Yeah.
I just don't remember a lot of it.
Yeah.
I'll go out to, my girlfriend likes to give me a hard time right now because we'll go out and get food. She likes to eat. We don't drink a lot, but we'll go out to get food and I'll say, I think I've been there before, but I think that was in like the blackout days. I don't even know. And she'll bring it up all the time. Oh, was that from the blackout days? You don't remember that? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, we have. Some of us have those eras. I have the same thing, but dude, did something happen, or at what point did you recognize that this is not sustainable?
That's a good question.
The DMT helped, obviously.
That helped a lot.
Psychedelics helped.
I think when I was going through the breakup, I got arrested. I had a DUI.
Okay, that'll help.
And I was so mad. I was like, fucking here I am trying to do something different, what I thought was something different, and here I am, just another fucking stereotype bartender with a DUI.
Yeah.
And that was like the week that the girl left or stopped coming home, and then I was training Muay Thai at the time, and it was all kind of like, what am I doing? Like, what are my goals here? What are my priorities? Because I'm just kind of repeating the same cycle of bullshit over and over again.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to really make the change. That's when I moved to Burbank, and I lived. I found Legacy, and I've been training like 2 or 3 days a week, kind of casually, but starting to get more comfortable. I was like a year or two in. And
was you training at just a Muay Thai place?
Yeah, I was at Set Yao Tong, and they were in Azusa at the time.
Okay.
Crew Walt, Josh Aragon, Brando Mendoza, all those were my coaches. All like true gangsters in Muay Thai, like really fucking.
What is training? I've never been to any other. Have I been to another Muay Thai place? Yeah, I guess I have. But what does training look? Is it similar to what we do here?
Well, it's funny because when I joined here, I wasn't going to train Muay Thai. I was going to do Jiu-Jitsu until I found out that Andy was the pseudo head coach at Set Yao Tong for years.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, so you have the traditional background that the art of Muay Thai is so beautiful. I fucking love it. The tradition, the respect, all of it. I love all of it. The culture is beautiful. When I came here, he still embodied a lot of that, so I wanted to continue to learn from him. Classes are different. Like over there, they play the Thai music the whole class.
Whoa!
Unless it's like a break between rounds or something, they'll play like hip hop. Yep. Yeah, totally. Fuck. Very traditional, very respectful. The warm up was like a jump. It's been a while now, but the warm up was jump rope. You do a little bit of drilling, a little bit of pads, a little bit of bag work, and some abs.
Okay.
But it was a little intense.
You do all those things in the class?
I mean, varying degrees of those. So some days you do pads, some days you do bag. Okay. Almost every day you do abs and jump rope, but it was some varying degrees of that.
Okay.
But not too different from what we do here, just a different style.
Right. Here we have Bang Muay Thai. We have a system.
Yeah.
Are there other systems? Is Bang Muay Thai unique in that it's like a curriculum? If there's not systems at other places, like what do they do?
Good question. There are ups and downs to the system for sure. I think one of the positives is that it creates structure.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Andy took this from Bang Muay Thai and Sensei Dwayne, or if this is something he was already doing, but he has a weekly curriculum. So the first 3 or 4 days of the week, you're doing the same drills and combinations. And then the last day of the week, whatever, day 4 or 5, you do the same drills and combinations, but you do it on the pads. So we're typically doing Dutch-style drilling, which means you're like catching their punches with your glove. We're not really hitting each other in the head. So we have this structure set up so that you do these reps. If you the more you come, the more you get these moves down. So if you come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, when you come back on Friday for pads, you've done these drills and combinations, I told you before, 500 or 1,000 times. So even if you don't feel comfortable, you at least remember what you have to do. other gym I've ever been to, I think, has been whatever the instructor feels like teaching when he wakes up or when he gets there.
Okay. That's
so
good.
It can be, but also it's hard to put puzzle pieces together when you're getting them from all over the board. Mm-hmm. Versus, I'm going to show you these 5 puzzle pieces and how to put them together, and then we'll build our puzzle from around them. That's a good analogy. I should use that.
Mm-hmm. You should in class.
But that was very unique to this gym when I came here, and I don't know if that was just Andy or if he took that from BMT or what, but it changed the way I learn. It helped me learn, and it changed the way I thought about teaching. It gives you structure.
Yeah, does Andy's the head Muay Thai coach, does he get like instructions from BMT headquarters or whatever? Is there like a curriculum that all the BMT gyms around the world are using, like in sync with one another?
Not at the same time.
Okay. Or is there like a BMT system, Andy has his expertise in it, and so then he devises the curriculum on a weekly basis?
Exactly.
That's how it goes. Okay.
Exactly. Excuse me. And that'll vary, based on the week. Or sometimes, like Sensei Dwayne will put out a video on Instagram or whatever, send out a text and like, this is what we're working this week. Mm-hmm. And then Andy will implement that in our classes, amongst other things.
And first, just quick background for those that have no idea what we're talking about. Muay Thai is kickboxing, and kind of. I'm trying to make it as rudimentary as possible. And my question was just like, do you guys at other gyms you just go in and kickbox? Because at our gym we use a system called Bang Muay Thai, BMT, which comes from Dwayne Ludwig, who's a former UFC fighter, who developed this Muay Thai curriculum.
Striking system,
which I really like because it's curricular and it feels academic and you can monitor the progress. I really like that. I do the same thing with jiu-jitsu actually on the side with Gracie University. Just so like I do videos on the side when I have time, maybe every couple of weeks, just so I can feel like I can see myself progressing through the curriculum. Because I guess I'm getting good at jiu-jitsu, but honestly I feel like I know nothing. Like the fact that I'm close to getting my blue belt, I don't feel, from a performance perspective, I feel good. Like I feel like I can hang with anybody in the gym, so I feel fine having a blue belt on. But from a like academic understanding perspective, I like don't want my blue belt. I don't want people to look at me like I'm some kind of greater expertise than a white belt. Some of these white belts out there fucking watching YouTube and shit know a ton about jiu-jitsu, dude. There's not so many times, but it happens on a regular basis where like I'll roll with a higher belt or someone who's just knowledgeable in jiu-jitsu, could be a lower belt, and afterward they'll be like, oh man, that was great. Like I love how you like switch from the X to the Y to the Z to the rash guard, half guard, Muay Thai guard. I don't fucking know. And I'm just sitting there like, nah, yeah, totally. I've got no idea what the fuck you just said. Hey, dude, I'm high as fuck right now. I have no idea what just happened. I won't remember this 30 seconds from now.
For real. That is, it's a perfect analogy for, I think, I'm only a blue belt, right? But a perfect analogy for your jiu-jitsu journey is just what we were talking about earlier, is your journey through life.
Yeah.
As a white belt, it's the same thing. Like people talk down to white belts. Even do you follow Show Your Roll on Instagram?
No.
Little tangent. Show Your Roll is a brand that makes gis, right? And Professor Alberto was their first ever sponsored athlete.
Oh, okay.
So he has a good connection with them.
Okay.
Their gear is dope. On their Instagram, they have like a call and leave a message thing, and they'll post like the voice of what people say. And I want so badly to call and just be like, I shouldn't ruin it, but I want to call and just be like, I think we can all agree, white belts, we don't care, stop calling. And just hang up. Because you're an adolescent, or you're a child. Really, in your jiu-jitsu journey. So...
But just like a child, you're so enthusiastic. Dude, the 2 little girls I take care of every morning, it's so refreshing every morning. They're so fired up when they get up about fucking empty boxes and fucking, like, I don't know, a strawberry. Like, It's just this overwhelming enthusiasm because you don't have perspective on everything. And it's new and everything's new and fresh.
And how much does that sound like a white belt?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, man, I've learned how to do a triangle. Yeah. I'm going to fuck everybody up.
Yeah.
And then as you progress and age in your journey, you have a new understanding, a new perspective on things. I had a discussion with a black belt last week about the way classes are run and kind of the respect and the culture and how things have kind of shifted, and how he was a little frustrated by it. And I relate and understand definitely to how he feels.
What was he frustrated by?
I don't want to get into specifics, honestly.
Okay.
But because he kind of said it in confidence.
Okay.
But kind of losing some of the respect and the culture as things expand. Things get watered down. And this particular black belt was frustrated by that, which I relate to. But he showed me a new perspective and how he views the class and how he views his training. You know, he, as a black belt, comes in and gets, I don't mean to put you on blast, but I'll talk about it. He was frustrated that, you know, and when you line up for jiu-jitsu to roll, the highest rank chooses first. They choose their partners. And I always thought that was just tradition. I never thought about it past that. I was like, you know, they've been here longer, they get to choose first. That's fine. Well, some professors, some coaches like to mix things up, and they let the white belts choose, which to me was always kind of a clever idea of just mixing things up a little bit. This guy was a little frustrated because he felt like he paid his dues, and when he comes in to train, he has a very specific mindset or focus of what he needs to work on. So when he comes in to develop his jiu-jitsu during class, he chooses his partners specifically for that application. And if he doesn't get to choose that partner, he doesn't get to work on what he needed to today. So he kind of loses a workout. And I relate a lot to that as someone with a few years of experience in Muay Thai. I want to work something specific. I'm going to choose my partner so that I can do that. And if I get tossed in with some random dude, that's fine. I'll figure it out. It's not the end of the world to me right now, but it is frustrating when it's like, man, I didn't want to like teach this guy what it feels like to get hit hard, because he's going too hard. I don't want to educate you today. This is my training time. This is my session. I want to do what I need to do. And I've paid my dues. I've got a lot of that stuff out of the way. I shouldn't have to put up with that. So I get it a lot in that sense. But I think as you progress, you start to understand things differently in jiu-jitsu. You know, blue belts we have our own stereotypes that everyone gives us a hard time about, the same way the white belts do. Just like the purple belts. What's the purple belt one? They don't show up for warm-ups, right? They always skip the warm-ups. That's like the purple belt cliche, you know? But you just find yourself falling into those stereotypes and cliches as you grow and develop, and you have a new understanding and respect for the people who came before you and the people who will come after. And hopefully, throughout that experience, it makes you more understanding to people who are struggling or trying to figure it out. But yeah.
Okay. I see that. I get the paying the dues thing. I mean, I get that idea about paying the dues that there should be, and there is, for the most part, there is. But I don't ever want to get to a point in my jiu-jitsu where I'm like, I think part of the beauty of the jiu-jitsu is the unknown. I think part of the beauty of the jiu-jitsu is the resiliency it teaches you as a human being, both on and off the mats, to like preparedness for all situations. Well, this isn't fucking... It's not like you're being sent off to war or something. Like, you can spend 5 minutes rolling with a lower level belt who might have a little more energy, and also you can talk and communicate. That's, I feel like, another thing that's lacking in these environments. I have a totally different perspective. Not that I'm not going to go off on too much, I don't think, but it's yeah, I don't know. I think in a lot of ways, having that much experience and having that much perspective and quote unquote paid your dues so much should make you even more flexible and versatile and in a position of being an educator and a teacher. And yeah, I don't want to go off too much. I understand the perspective. I think overall I disagree, but obviously, of course I disagree. I'm a fucking white belt. I'm not even paid my dues. I've been doing this shit for a fucking year, and I'm frustrated that no one will roll with me. I have to fucking do air squats fucking half the time.
Yep.
So,
but that's kind of the due. Yeah. That you're paying 100%. Right now, and even I've been training jiu-jitsu 5 years now, and still a blue belt. I'm so good with that. But my perspective on training has changed so much in the 4 years I've been a blue belt. I tore my ACL, and I tore my ACL rolling with a white belt who had no control. And I never saw him again, actually, after that.
Oh, like some dude coming in fucking trial class.
Or he was here a couple months and then left. And that hurt more, because when it happened, like, I know I was I was what, 6 months? No. Maybe a year into blue belt, maybe less, I don't know. When I tore my ACL. And so I was still a newer blue belt. I was still basically just like a 5-stripe white belt, right? And I was rolling with the white belts because I was of the mentality back then, roll with everybody, roll with all of them, see how you do. It's the only way you're going to get better. Don't say no to a roll. Try to keep up with everyone. That's fine right now. And I did with this guy, and I tried to go light, and he went hard, and he just pushed my leg in a way that it shouldn't have gone, and snapped my ligament.
Yeah.
And from that point forward, my entire view on jiu-jitsu has changed.
Yeah.
On training has changed.
Yeah.
Because back then, not only was I training a lot, but I wasn't lifting, I wasn't stretching, I wasn't foaming, I wasn't doing any recovery. So it changed the way I trained and the way I approached it mentally, but also when I did finally get the surgery and then do the recovery, so we're talking 2 years from injury to full recovery. I had to wait a year to get surgery. I didn't want to roll with white belts anymore. And I'm just like a bottom of the barrel blue belt. I don't want to roll with white belts because that's how I got hurt last time. And they don't have control, and I don't have enough experience to really put them in their place. Or not put them in their place, but control them where I won't get hurt. And so even as a blue belt, even just being a couple years in, my whole perspective on training had changed and how I choose my partner and who I roll with. And up until, it's been 2 years now since I had surgery. So I'm on the other side. And just this year, 2024, I started choosing white belts again to roll. I'd always just look to my right. I always look for the higher ranks. And a lot of times when there was only white belts left, I wouldn't roll because mentally I was kind of scarred in a way that I was like, I can't risk getting hurt again. Then I can't work. Then I can't do I can't train. I can't do anything. So going through that whole experience as a blue belt seems like that was kind of a due that was paid. And now 100%. I'm coming back to it, and now I can, grab most white belts and control them and not worry about getting hurt.
That's a great perspective you just offered.
So,
yeah. I put myself in your shoes. Now add 20 years and maybe like 3 more of those experiences, like ACL type experiences, and I'm fucking 60, and I'm just trying. Yeah.
You just want to show up and work on your game.
And then,
but instead...
Yeah, some dude that smells like fucking weed and 220 pounds, like...
Just jacked out, new guy.
Yeah, I could see that. But, yes. Yeah, no, I get the perspective.
You know what I mean?
No. And I said that prior to even I started speaking, but hearing you say it, looking in your eyes, and hearing you talk about the injury, it's tricky, and it's easy for me to say, okay, there's like communication there. Like, just if a white belt comes up and chooses you, a black belt, the choosing order has been reversed or whatever, communicate that. Like, hey, man, I'm fucking 60, let's take it easy. But it's also like, should you even have to be put in that position as someone who's paid their dues? I can see both perspectives.
Exactly. And I think that's the important part, because I recognize both as well. And I haven't come to conclusion yet.
Yeah.
Because I'm not there.
Well, I think it's jiu-jitsu, right? What jiu-jitsu teaches you about life is like everything. You're not going to predict the situation. It is what it is.
Yep.
Some classes the black belts are going to pick. Sometimes the professors are going to allow the white belts to pick, and that's jiu-jitsu. Like, you're going to be caught in situations when you're rolling that you never expected to be in, and you just got to deal with it on the fly.
Yeah.
That's life.
It is.
Thus is life. And that's honestly the most beautiful part about. I'm mostly done jiu-jitsu. But martial arts in general is like, it just prepares. Everything's a microcosm. It's fractal. This is preparing you for life, because you're about to walk out of here, and who knows, maybe getting a fucking fender bender or whatever. Who knows? Maybe something awesome happens to you. You just got to be ready at all times to handle whatever and stay calm and chill.
Or maybe you're just more patient after leaving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's so many parallels between life and martial arts. It's kind of annoying to a degree. It's like, I don't want to be like, how they say, how do you spot a vegan? Don't worry, they'll tell you. It's the same shit with, same shit with jiu-jitsu, right? It's like, do I really have to say again, like, oh, wow, I learned this in jiu-jitsu. That works really well in life. It's like, yeah, no shit. Of course it does.
I go over with the closest probably 5 to 10 people in my life. Fortunately, a lot of those, half of those, like family or people I talk to on the phone, but I go over the past, like, especially 6 months, I go over the top with that shit, where I'm like, as a martial artist... Like, I really hammer home on purpose. They fucking hate it.
Do you know how many white belts post on the internet? They're like, jiu-jitsu changed my life. Yeah. Jiu-jitsu changed it saved me. Jiu-jitsu saved me. It's like, bro, you've been training 6 months. That's great. It's beautiful. It's amazing. But shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Keep training and see how that evolves. I was the same way.
Yeah.
When I was a white belt, I was like, jiu-jitsu is the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's like, I don't know anything about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
How would I even know that? But it comes from a good place. It comes from, I recognize this is teaching me a physical art, of martial art, but it's also teaching me like life lessons.
100%.
So you just get really excited, just like a child would be about a strawberry or a fucking box.
And as a black man, you get a little jaded.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
Fuck these enthusiastic fucks.
Yeah,
eager to learn and train.
Yeah, as long as you're not crushing their dreams, you know what I mean. You let them grow and develop and figure it out. But it is an interesting parallel always, I think.
So you started with Muay Thai. You did that for a few years before you ever did jiu-jitsu. Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Who was that?
Josiah, I think, yeah.
You can come in. He's walking in the back. You did that before you ever started jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
Okay. And jiu-jitsu you started within the last...
I started 2019.
Oh, so right before COVID.
Yeah.
Right before COVID. Okay.
Yeah. Well, like, I want to say it was January 31st, 2019. Mm-hmm. So I had a solid year under my belt before COVID hit. And then a few months into COVID, we were still training in small groups. It was like 2 or 4 of us. And
is there a belt ranking system in Muay Thai?
No.
But there is in the system that we use, in the BMT system we use.
Yes.
Okay. So how does that work at a gym, at a Muay Thai gym? I guess it's less necessary because you're not rolling every class, right? You're not sparring every class. Mm-hmm. But like in our system, it makes at least like working with partners very easy because you know what to do with. So it's just like you're having to learn on the fly every day if you don't have a belt system, right? You might be partnered up with someone who's fresh off the street. You don't know them. It's just you're kind of figuring it out.
I do think that the belt system helps with expectations as far as what to expect out of your training partner.
Yeah.
And I also think it gives a lot. The belt system has a lot of benefits and a lot of downsides.
Yeah.
And I think it's 50-50 personally.
Okay.
There's actually a big movement right now in Thailand, they want to make like a regulating authority to do a ranking in Muay Thai. And a lot of traditionalists are really upset. If you're listening, I can hear you shouting. Mm-hmm. I know how mad you are right now, because they say it waters down the art, etc. You know, they use Taekwondo and karate as an example about how it just becomes like a financial thing. It's about making money, all the downsides. There's people it becomes political with promotions, yada yada, all that shit. So those are all those downsides. But the positives are that it gives people a goal to reach for and attain. You know, I love traditional Muay Thai. I love Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I don't need a ranking system to train. Mm-hmm. If we were all white belts and the instructor was a black belt, or the way Hoist Gracie does it, Hoist Gracie, if you don't know this, doesn't wear a black belt. He wears a navy blue belt. Oh, yeah. Because traditionally or originally, there were only instructors and students. Mm-hmm. Students wore a white belt and the instructor wore a navy blue. If I was a white belt and everything, that's fine. I don't care about my rank. But I don't represent, I think, the largest number of people who want to do martial arts. A lot of people they just want a fun hobby. They want a good workout. They want a community. They want to make friends. And the ranking system helps give them attainable goals to track their progress. Kind of like, why is Fitbit so fucking popular, right? Because it gives you a little animated thing that says, oh, you need to stand up and move for a few minutes today before you go to sleep.
Gamified.
Exactly.
Yeah, I bet you a belt system would, I'll go say drastically, but increase retention of students. I bet you overall it would increase the amount of people doing Muay Thai from a student perspective.
Exactly. And that's the mentality.
So I'm trying to put myself in the mindset right now of like, what if we didn't have belts? I said that I thought about had that idea of opening a gym with no belts. But it does make it seem more like a forest you're wandering around in without a path.
Perfect way to put it.
Whereas at the belt system, it's like, I know I'm going to... I know in my heart, like almost in a psychedelic way, that I'm going to keep doing jiu-jitsu. Like I feel... It's like I'm a black belt or a purple belt. Like I feel like I am already. It's just a matter of time and showing up. Like I can feel that. But without that, would I have the same level of conviction in my jiu-jitsu journey? I don't think I would. Like if we just showed up every day and rolled, or you just kept learning new shit, and it's interesting.
I mean, look how long you been doing jiu-jitsu? A year?
A year and a half.
Okay. If you didn't have the belt around your waist with the stripes, and they didn't give you those, how much progress do you feel like you would have made if you didn't have that visual representation?
That's what I'm wondering. I feel like definitely less.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, what am I doing?
If for nothing more than like attendance. Like, it's so crazy that as adults with like fucking jobs and people that go to this gym that are fucking millionaires or whatever, public figures. But that belt with the stripe like really keeps you showing up. Dude, when I got my first stripe, I cried.
Dude. And I think they give it to you like 2 weeks in, right? Like it was like 4 classes or something. I don't know what it is. Yeah, they give it to you right away. But everybody's like, holy shit, maybe I'm meant to do this forever.
They would be in the UFC.
Yeah. But look how powerful that is.
Yeah, no, it really is.
Even I just got my another stripe on my blue belt, my 4th stripe, my final stripe.
Whoa, congrats.
And I don't care. But fuck, did it feel good walking up there and getting that stripe? It was like the instructor was telling the whole class, the whole world really, because now I have the stripe on my belt, that I'm improving. And I'm 5 years into jiu-jitsu, and there's 6 months that go by where I don't feel like I've gotten any better. Actually, I'm just working through a plateau right now where I'm like, I'm exactly the same as I was 6 months ago. I have not improved or grown whatsoever. And that is really defeating for most people. If they don't get, I don't want to say a participation prize, I think that's a little extreme, but if you don't get some sort of recognition, if someone doesn't say, hey, you've been doing this for 6 months, like, you're getting better.
That's what I was going to say. It's recognition. It's recognition. At the very least, that like, hey, dude, we see you showing up.
Yeah,
we see you trying.
At least.
Dude, I see some guys, I don't know, maybe you know, I don't sound like a douche. This is just a genuine question and comment. Dude, I have 4 stripes in my white belt too. I had 3 stripes for fucking ever, it felt like. And I would see dudes with either same amount of stripes or 1 more. Or now I see dudes with 4 stripes too. And once again, not trying to reduce, but I'm like, we're not even in the same galaxy. What is is it an objective? I need to ask Alberto this when I do part 2 with him. Is it an objective ranking system? I know in Bang Muay Thai, so I'm digressing here, but in Bang Muay Thai, there's a test, right? So it's definable and tangible, the promotion, right? You have to pass a test, a performance-based test, right? And jiu-jitsu is far more amorphous. It's just like one day they just promote you at the end of the class. And you never know what's going to happen. They have to be keeping track of attendance plus, is it attendance plus performance plus, like, I don't know what the fuck the promotion system is.
That's the black belt question, isn't it? How do I know? Like, what milestones do I need to accomplish in order to get this? And it is very subjective, right? I think they definitely do a lot of it based on attendance. Or at least that's like one requirement. But
I've also seen, sorry, I'm not trying to complain here, but I've also seen people who's like, dude, I know you started like 6 months after me. I was there in your first day of class. How do we have the same number of stripes? Because I'm fucking you up, and I was here 6 months before you are. I don't know. And no one comes to class more. Anyway, I'm not trying to make this about me. It's just generally a question about I don't understand. Like, I show up all the fuck. I'm here all the time.
Yeah.
So it has to be something else. Aside from performance and attendance, it has to be something like, there has to be some sort of subjectivity involved in terms of like, almost like it almost feels like a message that they're trying to send you or something. I
think that,
I don't know,
the longer you train, the more perspective you're going to have on that. It's going to make more sense, because when I was a 3-stripe, I never got a 4-stripe in my white belt. I was a 3-stripe white belt for a year and something like that. And I was trying to figure out, like, what do I need to do to get this blue belt? And ultimately, once I got the blue belt, I realized that it wasn't about me trying to get the blue belt. It was just about me developing and growing and getting better. Now, who's the judge of that? Did you skip a stripe? Sometimes that happens.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't always do 4 stripes.
Dude, I was stuck in my 3 stripes forever, and I was having all of these experiences where I'm fucking everybody up that's a white belt. I'm seeing people that started after me have the same number of stripes. I'm like, what's going on here? And then I won the in-house tournament. And the Monday after, they gave me the 4th stripe. So it's like, do you have to win a fucking tournament?
Pretty much. Maybe.
I was like, if I hadn't won, if I got second when I still my 3rd stripe, so that made it even more perplexing to me. I was like, what the fuck are they going to do with my blue belt?
Honestly, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know what I have to do, you know? But it's all
human
personal.
Sacrifice?
Yeah. You gotta tear at least one ligament in your knees in order to get your blue belt. No. Yeah, who knows? I don't know. Okay. I have the same question. I don't know.
Okay.
And even, I'm a coach, one of the Bang Muay Thai coaches here, and I've promoted people, and I've been a part of, I don't know how many promotions. I don't know how they decide it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a test, but I would say, like, if you were asking me how I view promotions on the Muay Thai, the BMT side versus Jiu-Jitsu, which is very different still, but I think it's about a variety of things, right? It's about attendance, it's about performance, it's about attitude, it's about respect, it's about how you take care of your partners. Are you growing? Are you learning? Are you developing? But I think there's also a much more subtle factor, and that's, your personality.
Je ne sais quoi.
Yes. Your personality has to be a large part of it, because this is what I tell myself. I don't know if this is true, Professor Alberto. I have no idea. But what I tell myself is one of the reasons I'm slower to get promoted is, one, I know I'm a slow learner. But two, I think that my instructors recognize I'm never going to fucking quit. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what happens. I'm not going to quit.
Yeah.
I'm always going to be here. So they don't need to promote me quickly because I'm going to keep coming back.
Okay.
But there are people who will quit if they don't get promoted, and I don't know if it's a direct relationship. People are stubborn about it. Probably they don't do it. If I don't get my stripe, then I'm going to quit.
That's a good point.
Just in their enthusiasm wanes.
No, 100%. As a teacher, you're like, there's certain students you have to constantly motivate. There's certain students who are entirely self-motivated. The two girls I take care of now, the older one, entirely self-motivated. Mm-hmm. You give her the instruction, she's got it. The younger one, you need to I've saw them both at both ages, so I know it's I can compare them. The second one, you have to constantly positive reinforcement, keep going. And students like that as well. So that's a good point as well.
And think about how many different personality types we have in the gym too.
Yeah.
And that's all of those things play a role. I don't know what is weight heavier or not, but
considering that from that perspective, you could say someone who's actually quote unquote, or at least from the outside perspective, struggling or not performing as well could actually get promoted faster because you're trying to keep them you're doing good, keep it up. I've seen a lot of people I feel get stripes after something challenging them happened to them that day. I know in at least 2 instances I've submitted a higher level belt and then they got a stripe. So I don't know if that has something to do with it, the ability, the way you handle it or something like that. And not, once again, not that I think that I think that's a good thing. I'm just wondering, I'm just trying to get to the bottom of how much nuance is there. There has to be some nuance. And the motivation thing is a great thought that you had.
I think so, man. And at least that's what I tell myself is they know I'm never going to quit. I want to do this until I die.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
It's to train Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, wrestling, whatever, all of it. I want to do this forever.
Okay, pause there because I'm about to piss my pants. Yeah, do you have another 30 minutes?
I've got 10 minutes.
Okay. You said I know I'm gonna do this stuff for the rest of my life. I feel the same way. I don't know. It's like yoga. The only 2 things I've ever felt this way about are yoga and jiu-jitsu. I'll play pretty much every sport, but every sport I ever played, I was always just thinking about, okay, I gotta get to this one. I want to play the next one. I want to try football now. I want to try basketball. I want to make this team, that team. Yoga. The first time I ever did yoga, I was like, holy shit! Why didn't they tell you about this in elementary school or whatever? And same thing with martial arts. And so I feel the same way. I'm gonna do this as long as my body holds up.
Exactly.
If I'm not gonna do it to the detriment of my existence. My physical existence, but as long as I can, I want to do this as much as I can. I want to go particularly hard over the next 5 to 10 years, max it out. Do you feel the same way?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long you put it very well. As long as it doesn't, fuck up the rest of my life. As long as I can still exist and pursue other goals as well. Yeah, I'll be doing this forever.
Okay. Now the big question is, and my greatest hesitation, I want to keep Jiu-jitsu, 100%. I know I'm going to compete as much as I can over the next 5 to 10 years. I don't know about into my late 40s, 50s. I want to compete in jiu-jitsu, but definitely in the next 5 to 10 years I want to. Muay Thai, I want to continue developing competency, but it does feel like jiu-jitsu is the priority. The reason for that is head trauma. Well, how do you think about head trauma? How much sparring have you done? Have you done any sanctioned Muay Thai fights? If not, what do you want to? How do you look at head trauma, concussions, Muay Thai, and your jiu-jitsu journey? Or your martial arts journey? Your
question.
human journey?
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the big thing, right? Yeah. Is like, yeah, I've sparred a few times. It's fun as fuck.
Yeah.
And it's like a different level of drug compared to rolling in jiu-jitsu. It's almost a little more intense. It's different, but similar. You can get to a flow state. And I could see, dude, if you got good at Muay Thai, how much fun it would be to spar, just like rolling is fun. But there's more serious consequences down the road, right? I'd rather tear an ACL than get fucking knocked out cold.
You ever torn your ACL?
No. But I've been knocked out cold.
I think I would take the knockout.
Really? What about both ACLs and then 2 knockouts?
Oh boy, 2 knockouts. Definitely. I think...
Okay, maybe that's an exaggeration, but my broader point is like, I'd rather fuck up my joints and ligaments in my brain.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see where you're coming from with that. I think the head trauma... That's one of the reasons we train the way we do here at BMT is there's a lot of Dutch style drilling, so we're not really hitting each other in the head a lot. Whereas some other gyms, you're not catching with your gloves.
Catch with your face.
You're blocking and eating strikes. Right. So, look, Muay Thai, there's a saying, Muay Thai is pain because it is incredibly tough, not just to learn how to do it and apply it, but your body and your brain have to be very tough. You got to know how to take hits. That's never been my approach, like as a priority, is learn how to take a hit. It's more like I like pursuing the technical aspect of it and playing the little games, which actually is much more applicable to jiu-jitsu too. But I've got a couple of smokers, a couple of like underground fights, and those were cool. I was never worried, especially the last one. I was never really worried about like, my brain moving around in my skull. I think I did get 1 concussion in sparring where I saw stars. I felt lightheaded. I got kicked in the head, but I've very rarely been hit in the head to the point where, like, even if I were to get knocked out, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Maybe 1 knockout is enough, but it doesn't seem like it's enough to cause brain damage. Not everlasting. I know that there's a lot of...
It could.
Maybe. But a lot less likely, I think. I hope. But I've never been knocked out.
But so could rolling in jiu-jitsu. Rolling in jiu-jitsu we go rolling jiu-jitsu tomorrow, today, whenever the next time you roll is, and you could suffer an injury that could affect you for the rest of your life.
And I mean, even they don't talk about it. I mean, it's being talked about more now, but CTE is also totally possible via choke. I mean,
really?
You're depleting your brain of oxygen.
I don't fucking know about that, bro.
You know what? You're depleting your brain of oxygen. So, like, and I mean, again, I don't know. There hasn't been a lot of research that I've seen come out to talk about it, but you do have to take that into consideration. But it's a risk just like anything else. That's why I never wanted, when I started training, I never wanted to fight at all. But even as I got into fighting and training more and turning things up and making it more realistic and practical, getting hit more and learning how to dish it back, give it back, going pro, fighting for a living was never something that was on my radar. And I'm very grateful I never had to look at that as my option, because a lot of guys choose fighting because it's the only thing they have. That's their way out of whatever. You talk to a lot of guys like that, a lot of girls like that, but that was never a thing for me, so it never weighed too much. That one time I got the concussion was kind of a wake-up call, but I never wanted to pursue it fully. And if I ever did get hit hard enough or knocked out, maybe I'd take a break and reset for a little while. But I think that the lasting effects of the joint injuries are just really rough, man.
Would you ever want to have an MMA fight?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I think that'd be fun because I do Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu, but I definitely have this big gap in my wrestling game. I need to work. I'm going to work with Aston.
Yeah, that is something that at Legacy I feel like we're lacking in general, and that I think it too as well. And I'm really excited that Astamir, the wrestling coach, has added as well. It really could be like a nice, fully thorough martial arts factory, this place. We have the kickboxing, we have jiu-jitsu of various types and levels, we have judo and adding wrestling, so it really could be this awesome martial arts factory. Last question, I know you got to go, and this is like way too big of a question for like 1 minute that you have left. What do you want to do with your life outside of martial arts? Like, what do you want to do with your life? Do you want to have a family? Do you want to stay in LA? What do you see yourself doing personally, professionally? What is kind of your vision for your life? I know it's a big question. And
yeah. Well, my client's gonna text me when he's walking up. He's late a lot, so
Okay.
when he texts me, I'll probably wrap up. But that's a good question. That's a big question. I think I want to enjoy and I want to experience as much of life as I possibly can while I'm still here. You know, the truth is, I don't know if I'm going to make it back here tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to make it home today. I could die at any point in time, right? I've come to terms with that, and I've accepted that. So for the most part in my daily life, I like studying Stoicism and whatnot. But with that attitude, I think that allows me a lot of freedom to explore and learn. Ultimately, financial independence is my largest priority right now. For a few years, it was just getting better at Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu, but as I get older, I want to be financially independent. I want to train more, but I don't want to rely on teaching as my income. Working right now on a couple of years ago, I sat down with myself and I said, what do I want out of life? Where do I want to go? And I want to earn a living basically with 3 check marks, 3 requirements for how I earn my living. Number 1, I don't want to be tied to a place. I want to be able to travel, which limits the options of what I can do, right? I don't want to have a boss. I don't want to have someone breathing down my neck or telling me what to do. I can take that in a constructive setting, but I like to have the creativity to make my own mistakes and to learn from them. And finally, I want no ceiling on how much money I can make. I don't want there to be a cap to how much money I can make, which led me to trading, crypto, stocks, etc. And I spent the last 4 years learning that. Pretty intense. I would say 20 to 40 hours a week I'm putting into it, especially during COVID. Day trading, swing trading is actually where I'm doing best. Day trading, swing trading is just a longer term.
Like over 24 hours?
Yeah, more than 24 hours is the way to put it.
Less than a week?
I've been in some positions for 4 or 5 years.
Oh shit.
Oh wait, 7 years I've been in my Bitcoin position. So that's the direction I want to go as far, like that's where my kind of North Pole is, if you will, a North Star. That's kind of guiding me right now. I need to be financially independent so that I can travel and train. And those are the next 2 important things. As I want to be able to travel, I want to see the world, I want to experience life, I want to experience people and culture, and I want to be able to do it with my family and my friends. And then training. I want to train everywhere.
Bro, you and I have basically the exact same goals. I thought about crypto for a long time too. My baby's daddy, he made a ton of money trading crypto during COVID. Well, big wins and big losses, but fortunately more big wins and big losses, and so it ended up coming out like in 6 figures wins.
Brilliant.
From the candles, dude, the fucking constant candles.
Goddamn candles.
But I started thinking the same thing, and I had the same kind of realization: remote, no boss, and not a cap on your earnings. But it's super risky. So I haven't got into it, but it's fascinating. I knew I can actually juice for some reason without even talking to you, which is looking you in the eye. But because the same thing. I still think about it. I love what I do now, working with kids. Like I love being around kids. That's my other thing. Because I talked to my buddy about that, and that was his one thing. He's like, you got to remember, like you got to spend a lot of time doing this in the beginning. And it's like, is this how you want to spend your days? Like remember, you do have to live life, and so living life is like the end goal, right? So it's like if you're just sitting in front of a computer all day, you're not, keep that in mind. And so I think about that all the time when I'm out at the playground with those girls. I'm like, I fucking love being here.
I mean, exactly. And like that's the whole goal. That's the whole thing too, is along the way, like I want financial independence. I want to make this trading thing work. But along the way, I'm still doing everything else the way I want to do it for the most part. Like making sacrifices still, but I want to be able to train and go out to eat and travel with my girl and my friends and my family. I want to do all that along the way. I would just like to be in control of when I need to work, and I can do it from wherever I want to do.
Last 2 quick questions. Is it going well so far, this path?
Yeah.
4 years, however much you've been sat down.
I have it written on my whiteboard I have like I guess some people call it like a vision board. But in my room I have a big ass whiteboard that I write thoughts and ideas, and I make tasks and I make to-do lists and whatever. It's my whole organization. But right at the bottom in the middle I have in big letters it says, you're on the right path. Keep going. Okay. So yes, I feel like things are going well. I think the only way to lose is to quit. in a lot of things in life. And most of the people I talk to that are in positions where I want to be, so black belt in jiu-jitsu, or a lifestyle successful trader who just does that for a living. All of those people say the same thing. They're like, look, man, just don't quit. If you keep going, you're going to be fine. And it relates really well to another thing I heard on the internet. I think it was Seth Rogen said, like, if you believe you can do it, there's a chance. But if you don't believe you can do it, it's never going to happen. So I believe, I trust the process, right? I believe in the process. I believe in what I'm doing. And slowly, I haven't hit like that big jump, that big leap that takes me from, you know, regular trying to figure it out guy to having accomplished something significant. But I'm on the path. And that's another one of those cliches is, you know, it's about the journey. I'm on the journey. I'm doing it right now. And I know in a few years, excuse me, I know in a few years I'm going to look back and reminisce on how awesome my life was, you know, especially the hard times. We always look back at the tough times with like such fondness, right? It's like, oh yeah, that shit was hard, but it made me who I am today. All the sacrifices, all the hard work I'm putting in now, you know, I don't get paid hourly. For 4 years, I've been doing 20, let's call it 30 hours a week on average. 30 hours a week I've been putting into something. I have trading. I've seen $0 return for those hours, but hopefully my return catches up to the hours I put in at some point.
Right.
That being said, I still just enjoy doing it. It's a fun game.
I like it too. I've never like day traded, but I trade crypto and ETFs too. Or really just buy crypto and ETFs. I don't do a ton of selling, but I love it, dude. I love investigating them, finding them, looking at their price charts. For some reason, I really enjoyed that as well.
It's a fun game to play, just like jiu-jitsu. Like if you can get past the getting beat up era, and then learn to enjoy playing the game, and then getting good at the game. That's what I strive for in all walks of life. You know, get through the hard part, not get through, but manage through the hard part where most people quit, and then start to understand, and then really get past the point most people go to, you know, and have a deep, rich understanding and have some success with it. I think there's like a limited number of black belts in jiu-jitsu in the world, right? But there's a shitload of white belts, right? Like the percentage of population of the world that have a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, right, it's pretty minuscule. You could be a part of this like hard to reach group just by not quitting. Just keep showing up, and not even worrying about the belt, just worrying about the skills that come along with it, right? Same thing with trading, and again, it comes back to the journey. Of course I want to have a 7-figure day. A lot of traders talk about that very casually. Like, I remember my first 7-figure trade in the day.
The fuck?
Like it's a mile marker.
Yeah.
So I look forward to that, but the process in getting there is also really fucking cool.
A 4-figure day.
You know,
3-figure day.
I don't want to get to the end of life. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to die so I can rest finally. Right. It's like I don't want to get to my black belt so I can rest. I don't want to earn this living so I can rest. I want to enjoy this process, go through the development, and see myself grow as a human as I do it. And hopefully I get to the point one day where I can take my foot off the gas and just sit back and enjoy the view a little more. But right now I'm grinding, bro. And I fucking love it.
Do you want to have kids?
I don't think so.
Okay. I was thinking if you're getting all that stuff in place to like build your compound or something, your cult.
I've thought about that, but
I think there's the girl you're dating doesn't have kids either.
I don't think. No, she doesn't.
Well, interesting.
She told me I can change my mind if I want.
We need less people to have kids. I don't know. Maybe not.
Think about how much good in the world I could do. 100%. Just as a whole.
Think how much fucking crypto money you could make.
Think about all the positive I could have with the kids here.
Yeah.
Like that's how I see it. Yeah. You know. But yeah, how much money I could make and how much good I could do in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm a part of a community of traders who actively try to. They're not just concerned with getting their billions of dollars. They actually want to help improve their communities and the people around them.
Yeah.
All things I want to do. So knowing I'm a part of a community of jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai and martial art practitioners here, and I'm a part of a community of traders, I know I'm doing the right things. I know I'm on the right path. It's just a matter of, continuing.
Yeah, keep showing up.
Don't quit.
Keep showing up.
That's it.
Never give up.
Don't give up.
Thank you, Matthew, senior instructor. Matthew.
Thanks, bro.
Peace.